Hare Krishna, everyone. Done with
Hare
pranam.
Krishna Mataji, please accept our humble obeisances.
With my humble obeisances also. Hare Krishna. Okay. So there are very less people have joined, but I think we will start and they will join. Let's start with the prayer. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyaham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakavalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sativam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhan Vitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauravite Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evata Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Shri Govindaya Namo Namaha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Sukadeva Goswami ki jai, Shri Parikshit Maharaj ki jai, Samat Vaishnavacharyam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Hare Krishna. So, I welcome all of you for this final session of this section in our Bhakti Vaibhava teachings of Kapila Dev to Mother Devhuti. So today is the last chapter, number 29, for our unit, which is very beautiful description of devotional. Yes?
Mataji, I just wanted to ask that is voice low to me only, and is it okay to other devotees?
No, Mataji, the voice is low.
Voice is low, no?
Very low.
Voice.
Okay. So I have my speaker here. I will put it more here. Yeah.
It's fine now, Mataji.
Okay, thank you so much. Good. So we have a final chapter, chapter 29, which is explanation of devotional service. So this is the last class of this unit with all of you. Before we start, shall we discuss a little bit of the previous class? Whatever you can recall from the last chapter. Yeah, you can take help of it also. Yes, any points? Somebody remembers? We did 2 chapters last time, which were smaller chapters. So at least, what was it about? Yes.
But in 27th chapter, Lord Kapila explains that one can get liberation if one discharge seriously the devotional services unto the Lord by hearing about the Lord.
Yes. Correct.
And awakened souls can they can see this material life like a dream. They think that if they are awakened souls, that means they will understand that this material life is nothing but a dream.
When they will awake, they can see things clearly and they will not be bewildered by what they have seen in the dream.
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah, anyone else? Thank you, Lakshmi Mahesh Mathi. We discussed many different things. Basically, if you remember, yeah, Priya Satyabhama Mathi.
Mataji, in the next chapter, we did learn, how one should concentrate their minds on Krishna and how they can, relate to different body parts and how they can keep remembering him in that sense so that one can grow in their spiritual life.
Yes. So we basically spoke about 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga in 28th chapter. So in that 8 limbs is, Yam, Niyam. It was all one by one shloka, you must have seen. Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. And in the Dharana, Dhyan, we were looking for forms of the Lord, how the yogi meditates on the pastimes. Pastimes is better absorption than simply the photographs or forms. So there was description of, how they focus on every limb and the pastime connected to that limb. So that becomes easy for them to be absorbed. So we were focusing on every limb one by one, from lotus feet to, calf and thighs and navel and, up to the neck and smile and eyes and face, lotus face. So that was different limbs, how to focus on different limbs of the body of the Supreme Lord. Yes, that was good. Any other point? Good. So,
Mataji?
yes, Mataji, you are good today now? You were not well that time, huh?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, is there any option if you, I don't know, is it to me, I was hearing in YouTube also, session is getting live stream on YouTube. Voice is like, if you can we try use any other thing like any, can try something.
Okay. For others also, is it low?
Voice is not low, Mataji, but it's seeming like not very
Clear.
attention,
Mataji, for me, it's very clear and audible.
Okay. If he's saying Mataji, then it's okay. If Prabhuji is saying.
Okay. If still it continues for many other, then we will do something. But I have the same setup what I had all, in all the previous classes. Okay. So we will revise one more time with the help of this slide. So you can see the slide and tell me question number 1, where it was, what was the answer, where it was. Question number 2, and so on. So one by one, you can say just for our revision, 1 or 2 minutes, So somebody can just say, what are the questions? Basically, teaching started with inquiry from devotee. So what was her inquiry? You can just see the slide and repeat for revision. Is it visible?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, so somebody can say with what was her first question and where it was.
Question number 1, please dispel my illusion. It was in 3.25.7 to 11. And
Right.
answer was in 3.25.12 to 27. Adhyatmika Yoga, Sankhya Yoga Bhakti, superiority of Bhakti, characteristics of a devotee.
Yeah.
In
So
this
she,
Mother
yes,
Dev- so in this Mother Devotee is saying that I'm very sick of the disturbances caused by material senses. My senses are disturbed. And he's addressing his son Kapil Dev as my Lord. I have fallen into the apse of ignorance. Then she's again saying that you are my only means of getting rid of the darkness of ignorance. So please be merciful upon me. And by your mercy, I have also attained. Please give me the transcendental eye. So she's requesting her son. Then
yes, so
from the
yes,
12th, then Kapil Muni, then there is a Maitri Muni answering, and he starts with the smile. That when Arjuna also like got bewildered when he said Karpanya dosho. So Krishna also smiled. So here also Kapil Dev also smiled. So then he appreciated his mother's inquiries, and then he started. Then Mataji,
yes,
question number 2, Bhakti to attain you easily. It's from 3.25 to 28, and answer was in 31 to third canto 25th chapter, from verse number 31 to 44. Bhakti beyond modes, Bhava Bhakti, if not qualified, Vaidhi Bhakti.
yes. So first question when she was asking, she is telling, I'm disgusted with this, and I was all the while engaged in sense gratification. So please teach me how to get mukti. Yeah? First question of her was how to get liberation, how to get mukti, or how to get, relief from this faulty material association. That was the first question. And then coming after hearing more about, different paths, and then how bhakti is superior in answer number 3, 25, 12 to 27. That means by hearing, by association of Lord Kapil Dev, she understood, oh, bhakti is superior. Then you please tell me how to attain bhakti to, get your lotus feet. So that was the second question, what you were telling, and then he answered, bhakti should be beyond 3 modes, So he was telling, if you continue this path of bhakti, you will automatically get liberation and you will get much more, nishtha, ruchi, asakti, bhav. So that's what he was explaining. So that's the end of 25th chapter. And then in 25th chapter itself, when she asked, you tell me please how to do the bhakti to attain your lotus feet. And in the same verse, she asked 2 more questions. What were they? Yeah. She asked 2 more questions in the same chapter, And,
Hare Krishna
yeah.
Mataji, the questions were what's the process of Gyan Yoga and what's the process of Ashtanga Yoga?
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji. So we see 28, 29 verses. That's her question. Devahuti is asking. Devahuti Ruvacha. So she is asking about Kidrisham Kati Changani, everything. So all about Gyan Yoga also and Ashtanga Yoga. The both process she asked in 3:25, 29. So in 25th chapter, he just answered about how to attain that, bhakti, which is free from all 3 modes. And then in further chapters, so where is the answer for Gyan Yoga? This chapter? Yes. For the 2 questions, he gave answers in further chapters. So where he gave this answer, it is written in the slide. Answer 3, answer 4, answer 5, answer 6, answer 7, all these questions and answers.
Yes, Mataji. Its answer is in 3.26 to 27. Sankhya, characteristics of Prakriti Purusha and elements, Karya Shrishti Virat Rupa. And in 3.7, it is Jiva in conditioned state attaining liberation.
Yes. So when she asked about, please explain the process of Gyan, then Kapil Muni explained it in 2 chapters, chapter number 26 and chapter number 27. So all about Sankhya philosophy, which he says ultimately leads to Bhakti only, ultimately leads like finding the root of the tree. So finding the root of the tree means to pour water so that everything gets nourished. Just finding the root of the tree is no value. So similarly, reading all these characteristics of Prakriti, material elements, Karya Shrishti, this and that, the purpose is to, what does the root means? To worship the Supreme Lord, to get his shelter. So that is Sankhya philosophy, the analytical study of all the characteristics of, all the material elements, how it works, what are its functions, how it comes, sound, ether, and all those things. So this is 26, 27. And then he described, the question was, please explain the Ashtanga Yoga process also. So the answer was in
Chapter 28.
exactly, chapter 28.
Of Ashtanga Yoga, description of Lord's form for Dharana and Dhyan.
Yes. So Dharana and Dhyan. Dharana means seeing the Supreme Lord. Radha Madan Mohan or Radha Vrindavan Sense or Radha Madhav. Seeing the Lord's form, threefold bending form. And Dhyan is really meditating on every small limb. So that is the difference. Both are meditation, but one is more deeper, the Dhyan. So Dharana means seeing, oh, nice garland, nice dress, and if somebody asks what color dress, we don't remember, So we saw the darshan, but not in very minute details, But Dhyan means in minute details. So that's what he described in chapter number 28. So question 1, please dispel my ignorance. Tell me the path how to attain liberation. So he said, okay, Adhyatmic Yoga, either Sankhya Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, either of them you will achieve liberation. But Bhakti is better because not only liberation, you will get much more. So he then described about Bhakti, association of sadhu and, characteristics of sadhu and all these things. And then she said, oh, Bhakti is superior, then tell me, as a woman, how can I achieve Bhakti, How can I attain my lotus feet? How can I perform Bhakti? So he answered in 25th chapter, later verses. And then she also asked, tell me about Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga also. So 26, 27 chapter about Sankhya Yoga. And then 28th chapter, what we already did was about Ashtanga Yoga. An element of Bhakti is always there in Sankhya also and in Ashtanga Yoga also. Otherwise, one does not get the result. And in the important thing, if you all remember, in 28th chapter, we discussed many things. This all the beautiful, limbs and eyes, lotus face, all these all these, limbs to focus on for Ashtanga Yoga. So just said, we already did it in second canto also, path of Ashtanga Yoga. In the first chapter, when it was a description there about how a yogi meditates on the Paramatma feature, and then different limbs, how is yellow dhoti and this and that. So there was one analogy here in one of the verses last. Anyway, we will move to, but I will explain that analogy anyway because it is related. So there was one analogy in the last chapter, number 28, of this Ashtanga yogi, how he is like a fisherman yogi. The example of given, as a fisherman, for catching a fish, if you recognize the verse, I would appreciate, because we already did that. So there was an analogy. Fisherman uses that hook and he puts some food to catch a fish. Ashtanga Yogi similarly does that to get liberation. So how it was explained, like a fisherman yogi, fisherman uses a hook and little food to attract the fish. So he puts that hook and fish gets stuck because of the food. So he is interested neither in the hook nor in the food. Hook and food he is just using to catch the fish. So he is interested only in fish. He puts aside hook and food after he gets the fish. Right? He's just interested in fish. So this yogi, Ashtanga Yogi, also what he does is his like what we saw, he's focusing on all the limbs and then the form of the Lord. So his mind is compared to the hook. Mind is compared to the hook, and he uses that food, uses that Paramatma to attract the fish, which is liberation. That is what his goal, to achieve liberation. So anybody recognize which verse I'm talking about? There's this analogy given in chapter number 28, last time we did. Remember? Fish, hook is there. So this was the explanation of that verse number. Remember verse number? As one attracts a fish to a hook, withdraws from material activity. It was written there. So his heart or his mind is compared to hook, and he uses food as Paramatma to attract the fish, which is liberation. So his main goal is to achieve liberation. Like fisherman's main goal is to get the fish. Once he gets the fish, he keep aside this hook and the food, both. So this yogi, Ashtanga Yogi, also, once his main goal is to achieve liberation, and he uses this Paramatma meditation to achieve that liberation. So Ashtanga Yogi, there are then two types. Bhagavad Gita, we learned this yoga ladder, So there it is there by Gurijan Prabhu. One kind of yoga, this Ashtanga Yogi, he is leading to impersonal liberation. That's what his goal. Another one, after getting this liberation, he is more interested, he got more interested in, he got more attracted to the form of the Lord, to the limbs of the Lord. And, so he proceeds for bhakti. That is the two paths, So that's how after Ashtanga Yoga, if one is satisfied in liberation, he stays there. But if he gets more attracted to, the form, and then he starts bhakti. So yogi meditating on Paramatma form has developed some attraction by meditation on the limbs. So relationship with the Paramatma form of the Lord has developed, because of which, we also saw in last chapter that his tears started coming and hair standing on ends. So this feature also comes to Ashtanga Yogi because he's getting association of the Lord by meditating on the limbs. So that external symptoms come, but Rupa Goswami says there are two ways of seeing that, also. Sometimes the external symptoms come because of the association, but internally he is still into, I want liberation. But because he's in the association of the Lord, he is getting those symptoms. So Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there is a bhav. Some is like really, symptoms are seen in both the cases, but some are like reliable symptoms in the sense, yes, it is leading to bhakti, and some are symptoms coming because of seeing the form, but their goal is liberation only. So this reliable symptoms and unreliable symptoms, you can say. So reliable symptoms, that means he's really getting those symptoms of getting tears and hair standing on end, because he has that bhakti has evoked, he has interest in nama, gana, ruchi, in the Lord's form, beauty, pastime. He is getting attracted. So he is getting that Ashta Sattvic Vikar. Other is because, everybody please keep mute. Others is because, the hairs are standing up and all, because he just meditating, but his still goal is liberation only. So there is a war always. One side, there's, this relationship with the Supreme Lord is getting established because he's meditating on the limbs. Other side, there's the intense desire for liberation because that's how he started for. And that's the process. So if the second one wins, that means if the intense desire for liberation is more than the attraction for the Lord, then he goes to liberation path, So that means he throws away that hook and that food, and then he catches the fish. That means liberation for him. And if the first option wins, that means his relation with the Supreme Lord is getting more absorbed and attracted to the limbs of the Lord, then he graduates to the next level, which is bhakti, and develops the taste for, the form of the Lord and the pastimes of the Lord more and more. So that's how it is said, everything leads to bhakti slowly, one by one, So ultimately, the Ashtanga Yogi also can take bhakti process. And Prabhupada explained in all the purpose, considering that, devotional service is the supreme. So that is what the description, and that is what the beautiful analogy about the fish and the hook and the fisherman, the Ashtanga Yogi. So that is what all about the Sankhya Yoga and then Ashtanga Yoga. And now she is asking about bhakti, the process of bhakti in detail. So our chapter today is chapter number 29, is explanation of devotional service. It's a beautiful, beautiful chapter, and many things from Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu will come. What is pure devotional service, characteristics, and how to achieve that, and what is the problem in achieving, why we, after doing everything, we don't get it, what is the solution. All these things will be described in this chapter number 29. Explanation of devotional service by Lord Kapila. So let's start reading one by one. We will not read Sanskrit, we will straight away read the translation. In between some important shlokas we can read, but otherwise let's read the translation.
Mataji, can I ask one thing? Can I ask a question?
Please.
Mataji, but whenever there is a contest, if there is anything anybody asks, even in the Bhagavad Gita or in Bhagavatam, but Prabhupada gives bhakti in all his purports. So till chapter 28. So what is the connection like in 28, 29, 29 chapter itself is saying explanation of devotional service by Lord Kapila. So till now, what has happened that
He explained,
Kapil Dev telling the bhakti.
Kapil Dev explained about Ashtanga Yogi getting liberation.
Ashtanga.
Because that's what we discussed. They focus on the form of the Lord, on the limbs of the Lord. That is the process for Ashtanga Yogi to meditate, to get liberation. And then there are two paths, as I discussed. So in chapter 28, Kapil Dev describes about Ashtanga Yogi. That ultimately, you see the last verse, a yogi then meditates upon the beautiful face of the Lord. And then, last verse, 28, chapter last verse, the yogi can be in the self-realized position after conquering the insurmountable spell of Maya. And so after conquering insurmountable Maya, that means we already discussed, he is free from the subtle body. So much he is absorbed that he is free from all these symptoms. I think we discussed, you were not there, but the symptoms when he is free. See, I will tell you. He acts as if totally unaware of the body, just as a drunken person is totally unaware. This is example is given. So he no more recognizes with his material body. It's the stage that Ashtanga Yogi reaches. So that's how we attain liberation. And that the point also we discussed was Jivan Mukta stage. That means even in this body he can attain that by his, by having that consciousness. So you can go through the verses. There are a lot of descriptions given how he achieved that. In all the 28 chapters is all about that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Mataji, thank you.
And he's seeing the super soul in all living beings. So that is his higher stage. Pandita Samadarshana stage, a yogi sees everybody is connected to the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord is present in every living entity. That's how his vision develops by the process of Ashtanga Yoga, and he achieves liberation. Crossing or conquering the insurmountable Maya. That was it. Okay, so now she is asking, text 1 and 2. My dear Lord, you have already very scientifically described the symptoms of the total material nature and the characteristics of the spirit according to Sankhya system of philosophy. So you have explained about this very nicely detailed about symptoms of material nature and characteristics of the jiva, which also we saw, how the jiva bounds himself because of his false ego. He identifies with the body, and that it leads to samsara, that means repeated birth and death. So that is what about the symptoms of jiva also. And then now I shall request you to explain the path of devotional service, which is the ultimate, which is the best, which is the ultimate. So you please explain in detail. So when we go to counseling, let's say 10th class student is going to counseling. What should I take next? Which subject? Maths, physics, science, whatever, or arts, commerce. So the counselor explain you, this is the subject, this is the benefit of this, path if you take, and so on. And then once we take that path, let's say biology or commerce, whatever. Once we take that path, then we study in detail. So initially he told about, the benefit and this, and then every path he is telling in detail. So Bhakti also he explained, and now in more details he is asking. So like that we can understand. So she is telling, please explain the path of devotional service, which is the ultimate end of all the philosophical systems. So question 5, path of bhakti in detail, she asked in 29th chapter, and question 6, the nature of time. So that will all be discussed in this chapter. So first and second verse, she's asking about, tell me more about bhakti. That's all. So in 25th chapter, he spoke about pure devotion service. As I said, when we go to counseling, they say this is the path and this is the benefit, right? If you take to computer science, you will get a good job, high paid job, something like this. And then when you take computer science, you have to study all the things. So there in 25th chapter, he explained more about pure devotional service and its, the result, the prayojan basically. And here in 25th chapter, there is more focus on sambandh and abhideya, how to do it. And when we, sambandh gyan, abhideya, how to do it, and what are the problems we face, problems in the sense, offenses and the solution for it. So to achieve the goal, so what are the obstacles? And problems means the obstacles. So there's a description of offenses also. So 29th chapter description will be more focused on sambandh and abhideya. So because there is no point in description of all these things, whatever we discussed about Prakriti, Purusha, Jiva, and all their characteristics and other things. If it does not culminate in Bhakti, then there's no point in discussing all these things. So it should culminate in Bhakti, worshipping of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's the way how the, Krishna or the Supreme Lord has designed whole Vedic scripture. That slowly, whichever place you are in, you can start and start your journey and move ahead towards the goal. That's how the whole Vedic system is designed. Wherever we are, start somewhere. So, yeah, there's a beautiful example Prabhupada gives. If we give up bhakti and simply do analytical study and keep doing analytical study, then it is like husking a paddy without having anything, There's no use of beating the husk if the grain has already removed. So what is the use of just studying the characteristics of these elements if it does not lead to bhakti, if it does not lead to surrender to the Supreme Lord? So Devuti is asking, my dear Lord, please also describe in detail both for me and for the people in general. So we already discussed this point. These all devotees, they get bewildered because of answer. Arjun, Devuti, Vishnu Pitama, all these people are asking, are they really getting bewildered by Mahamaya? It is the Lord's plan. So they are in the Yogamaya energy. So that's what Prabhupada is telling. My dear Lord, please also describe in detail both for me and for the people in general. Arjuna was also got bewildered. It was Lord's plan so that everybody, all of us can get the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, So here also Devuti is asking for me and for people in general. So that is the nature of the great soul. Please explain the continual process of birth and death, for by hearing of such calamities, we may become detached from the activities of this material world. This is the third verse. So we have so many attachments in this world, right? To our people, to our family, to our things, to our ego, to our nature. So many attachments. We want things to do it in that way only. So unless we give up this, there's no hope for us to come out of this, samsara. So please speak about this samsriti, that means samsara, srishti, you can say, the nature of this material world. So when I'm attracted to my things or to self gratification or to my family, or some attachment, I will have the conviction after hearing from you that no, this is not correct, So I can control. I will not go ahead and fulfill those desires for self gratification, To save myself from degradation, therefore you please speak about this also. Right. So in third verse, she says, please describe in detail the continual process of repeated birth and death. For by hearing of such calamities, we may become detached from the activities of this material world. So, and then describe this, how, we get into samsara. What keeps us here, basically. And then in fourth verse, our question is, also describe about the time element, how the time works, how the time is Supreme Personality of Godhead, So please describe the eternal time, which is representation of your form, Kapil Dev's form, is incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. By whose influence people in general perform the pious activities, because it is said, when we know, she's asking nature of the time, by fearing the result we do good acts, right? By fearing the result, the outcome of our bad things, because time, it's just a matter of time that you are going to get the result. We may not get the result immediately. Something we ate or something we had some relation with others, the results come after some time, either in this life or in next life, but surely the results come. So you've explained me what all happens, how the time works. So by knowing that, at least we will do good actions. We perform the good deeds. So you please explain that, so that I can perform bhakti with the mood of urgency, that the time is passing. So the last section is also very beautiful about time, how the time works. Also, it is described in earlier chapters also, like in 3.10, 11, also there is a description of time and other things. But here also she's asking, tell me about time, how it works, so that I feel it an urgency, to take this process, to take shelter of you. So this is all questions. Path of bhakti in detail, and how to get out of this samsara, or what is the characteristic, how one stay here in this material world, and about time, nature of time. So these are her questions in this 29th chapter, which will be answered here. Okay. Now about the time, eternal time. Time acts as a carrier of one's karma. Okay? Time acts as a carrier of one's karma. Whatever good or bad you do, the result is going to come. Nobody can stop you. There is no cheating. There is no bribery that you will get free from that, whatever you have done. So time acts as a carrier of one's karma as long as they are not surrendered to the Supreme Lord. We will discuss this more when we discuss on time, how it does not affect, but just here. And to surrender means to get out of the law of karma, to get out of the clutches of law of karma. When we surrender, karmani nirdharti kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Brahma Samhita, Brahmaji says, when we surrender to the Supreme Lord, then all our karmas get burnt. We don't get reactions. Yagyashishtani santo muchyante sarvakil vichara. No, what is that? Yagyartha karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. So yajna for the purpose of pleasing the Supreme Lord, do it so that you will not be bound. So if I don't surrender, then what will happen? I will get all the reactions, good and bad, of all my karma. Time is the carrier. Time is the carrier. So time is the carrier for one's karma, as long as we don't surrender to the Supreme Lord. So time will bring me all the results. So if we understand this, we will be fearful of doing wrong things. No, I'm going to get the reaction. Normally, ordinary course, people don't worry, don't care, they just do what they like, eat what they like, say to somebody what they like. But when we understand, when we read scriptures, we understand, no, this is not good. If I criticize someone, the criticism will come to me. We hear, na? If I glorify someone, that good quality will come to me. If I criticize or blame somebody, that the criticism or blame also will come to me. So hearing and in association, we understand this. So please, you explain this also so that one becomes fearful and acts in a right way and take it as an urgent thing, to surrender, not postpone it. And the moment one surrenders to the Supreme Lord, then the time carries the will of the Lord. Otherwise, the time carries our, karmas. But if we surrender, then the time carries the will of the Lord. So for Arjuna, Bhishma says, whatever is happening in their life, it was the will of the Lord, right? So the moment one surrenders to Supreme Lord, the time carries the will of the Lord for all the devotees. Before that, the time carries the result of one's karma. So as a devotee, we should be happy that whatever is happening in my life, it is the will of the Lord. That way we can not go in a depression or frustration mode, Whatever is happening in devotee's life, it is happening, by the will of the Lord. This is a wonderful, understanding one should have. So for pure devotees, whatever is happening, it is will of the Lord. The Lord wants this to happen, So for pure devotees, Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. So everything is happening because of the will of the Lord. They understand and accept like that. So, and when they understand that, then this material world becomes very small and they can cross over very easily. It becomes like a water in the calf hoof print. Samashitaye pad pallavam plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavam buddhi vat padam param padam yat vipadam na tesham. So bhavam buddhi vat padam param padam. So it becomes like a footprint of a calf, and we can easily cross it. And another, Samacharyas also says the hoofprint of a calf and the water contained in it, it also becomes very, very auspicious, So it is easy to cross, and also it is very joyful, It is auspicious. So water in the hoofprint of a calf is very sacred. So for all devotees, samsara becomes very sacred and purifying. So that is the result of surrendering to the Supreme Lord. Now let's read 5th verse. So these are the questions she asked, and now she's glorifying Kapil Dev. Yes, 5th verse.
Hi, dear Lord, you are just like the sun, for you illuminate the darkness of the conditional life of the living entities. Because their eyes of knowledge are not open, they are sleeping eternally in that darkness without your shelter. And therefore, they are falsely engaged by the actions and reactions of their material activities, and they appear to be very petite.
Yes. So she's telling, my dear Lord, you are just like the sun. So you appeared like the sun, and sun, what? It destroys the darkness. So similarly, you appeared as a sun to destroy the suffering of living entity caused due to misidentification, false identity, and to give eyesight to the blind. Blind means don't have this shastra chakshu. To give them the shastra chakshu, you have come to give the eyesight to the blind and to wake up those who are sleeping in this samsara. Because their eyes of knowledge are not open, they are sleeping eternally in the darkness. So you have come to Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. So to wake up those sleeping souls, tab tak maya ki god mein sote rahenge, kota nidra. So you have come to wake up those sleeping souls in samsara and to pacify those who are completely fatigued by material attachment. Completely, fatigued due to attachment. Sometimes we know because of this attachment, I am getting all this trouble, but we can't leave that attachment. It is so strong. We are so much conditioned. So fatigued due to attachment. So you pacify those who are completely fatigued. You have come for this. So we are very anxious sometimes. I want to get out of it. But because we have so much attachment, unless and until we take shelter of devotees or shastras and have a proper understanding, we don't find solution ourselves to get out of it. So she's glorifying Lord Kapil Dev. Yoga Bhaskara, the sun. You are like a sun who has come to give this path. Sleeping in the darkest region, you have come to wake us. The only path for mitigating our fatigue in the struggle for existence is the path of devotional service. So from seventh verse onwards, you will see this sixth also. Let's Maitreya Uvacha is there. So by hearing all these questions and her inquiry and her inquisitiveness to hear about this devotional path, Kapil Dev becomes very happy. Please. Every speaker becomes happy when there is a question, when there is a query, when there is a intuition or interest in doing bhakti is there in the inquirer. So he was very pleased and he responded with compassion. So that is my way of telling. Let's read verse number 6.
Sri Maitra said, O best among the Kurus, the great sage Kapila, moved by great compassion and pleased by the words of his glorious mother, spoke as follows.
Yes. So the great sage Kapila moved by the great compassion. So Prabhupada is emphasizing this word, compassion. If some of his devotees also become compassionate, he's very pleased. So compassion is important. Like in Prahlad Maharaj's case, also we see what is the nature of a devotee, especially in many devotees. But Prahlad Maharaj says, Prayena deva munayo savimukti kama maunam charanti vijnena pararthanishta. That is 7:9:44. Beautiful verse. 7th canto, 9th chapter, 44th verse, which says, there are many people, who just they want their liberation only. They go to Himalayas, do Maun Vrata, no talking, nothing, and they are interested in only their na pararthanishta. They have no interest in delivering others, but they are worried only about themselves. But Prabhupada's mission mood is completely different. So he wants to, till his last breath, he wants to give Krishna to each and every one, how much ever possible. So that is the mood of Prahlad Maharaj also. He says there are many sages who do Maun Vrat, go to Himalayas or secluded place and do their own bhakti. They are not interested in Parartha Nishtha, in others' welfare. But I don't want like that. I want to bring all the souls under your shelter, because I know your shelter is the only way to achieve real happiness. There's no happiness in this material world. So Prahlad Maharaj says like that. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vasudev Datta also says to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, give all suffering to me. Better take all these, suffering souls. You take them back to Godhead. And I can't see them suffering. So give their suffering to me. You please take them. And one important thing Srila Prabhupada says in first canto, that he says a transcendentalist, a sadhu, is one who is not only concerned about his problems, but he is concerned about others' problems also. That is sadhu. In Bhagavad Gita, we were discussing in one of the classes. There is asur, there is sajjan, and there is sadhu. So these three kinds of people. Asur means, exploit others, harm others, kill others, whatever. And Sajjan Purush, you also good, I am also good, He will not harm others, and he will, okay, you also live happy, I also live happy. And then Sadhu Purush is one step ahead, that he takes suffering for himself to help others. That is Sadhu Purush. So here also, Prabhupada, in another context, he was telling, a sadhu is one who is not only concerned about his problems, but about other problems also. He is concerned about others' problems also. And not only he is concerned about problems, he is also concerned about solving those problems. And one more step. He is not only concerned about solving those problems, but also he is willing to make personal sacrifices to actually reach out to people and solve their problems. We can clearly see this in Prabhupada. He must have just sat in Vrindavan and wrote books and that's it. No. He went and preached and took all the trouble and all the sacrifices and all the pains also, So some people only, just discussing, oh, there is so much cancer rate, so much divorce rate, this rate, that is happening. They just keep talking, but nothing doing. The Srila Prabhupada or the sadhu's example is really great. They are not just worried or talking just like that for a talk, but they are working on it also. Taking personal pain to give a solution to others, to help others. This is a sadhu. So here also, Devuti is asking, and Kapil Muni is happy. The great sage Kapila moved by the great compassion. This is very important, compassion, and pleased by the words of his glorious mother, he started speaking. So Kapil Dev really appreciated her mood, that she is concerned about suffering of others, because in the last verse she said, right, for me and for the people in general, you please tell. So he was very much moved by her inquiry, and he said, I have spoken about pure devotional service, but devotional service can be mixed also. Till we reach the stage of pure devotional service, it can be mixed. Abhidhi, what we are doing, it is not pure devotional service. We have some motive somewhere, it is not completely pure. But at least we do it. By keep doing, all our impurities will go away. So he said, I have spoken about pure devotional service, but devotional service can be mixed also. So we see, devotional service appears in many forms, which he will explain, of course, in further verses. It appears in many forms based on our actions and intentions. Actions and intentions, and actions basically are driven by our intentions. People can see our actions; they don't see our intention behind. We know that I have to purify my intention also. But at least externally, action is, I'm doing a, devotional action. So actions are driven by intentions. And intentions are driven by particular combination of modes of which I am in. And that is driven by the how we get the modes. It is driven by the impressions, what I had, what I have accumulated. Right? Whatever previous impressions I have accumulated, according to that mode I work, and my intention develop, and that's how my actions come. So actions are driven by intentions. Intentions are driven by the combination of modes, and that is driven by the impressions what I have accumulated, in my previous activities or in previous lifetimes, whatever. So he is going to speak about it, and right now he's very happy that he is compassionate about others. So from text 7 to 20, and then later, because basically 2 questions mostly. One is about bhakti, second is about time in broad categories. So 7 to 34, he is talking about bhakti. And we will see sub-classifications also. But in general, 7th verse to 34th verse, he is talking about the path of bhakti. And from 35th to 45th verse, about time. What she asked, time. Nature of time. And 7 to 34, there is sub-classifications, the classes of bhakti, and then, the offenses and the solution and the nature of samsara and all these things. So that we will discuss. But in general, from 7 to 34 is about bhakti, 35 to 45 about time. So we are in verse number 7 now. Let's start 7.
Lord Kapila, the personality of Godhead, replied, O noble lady, there are multifarious paths of devotional service in terms of the different qualities of the executor.
Yes. There are multifarious parts of devotional service in terms of different qualities of the executor, right? So we just discussed there are mixed, depending on the qualities of the executor. So 8, 9, 10 describes these 3 different categories, broad categories. So Kapil Dev already described about devotional service, which is beyond 3 modes. The pure devotional service, which he described in chapter number 25, right? We discussed. Now Kapil Dev speaks about bhakti, which is contaminated by the 3 gunas. So bhakti cannot be contaminated. Bhakti is always pure, but the performer is in that mode, right? So that we have to be clear. Devotional service can be classified in 3 broad categories. So when we say bhakti, which is contaminated by gunas, bhakti is not actually contaminated, right? Bhakti is not mixed. Bhakti is always pure because it helps us to transcend the 3 modes. So it cannot be mixed with the 3 modes. So what is the contamination is basically on the performer side, right? Bhakti is always pure, but it is said like that, mixed bhakti or bhakti in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, depending on the performer. So in terms of the different qualities of the executor, we can underline this. There are multifarious paths of devotional service in terms of the different qualities of the executor. So pure devotional service is one because pure devotional service, there's no demand from the devotee to be fulfilled by the Lord. But generally, people take to devotional service now. Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is telling 7.16. What is that word? 7.16. He's telling 4 kind of people who come. 7.16 Bhagavad Gita. Anybody remember? Yeah. There's a description.
Chaturvidha bhajanti mam jana sukritano arjuna artho jigyasur artharti gyani cha bharatsava. 4 type of people.
Yeah. Bharatarshava, that's Arjun, the best among the Bharatas. So 4 types of people. Artho, Artharti, Jigyasu, and Gyani. They approach. So they are all not pure. They have some intention. Artho wants some benefits. Artharti, disease, and then wants some benefit, or inquisitive, or for some jnana. So Artho, Artharti, Jigyasu, Gyani. So Prabhupada is explaining the same thing. People who are not purified take to devotional service with these 4 purposes: distress, or in need of money, or seeking knowledge, or for inquiry. So this is not pure. Pure devotional service means I don't want anything. You keep me anywhere. Swargapi, Nargapi, anywhere. Api tulyat darshana. Narayana Parakar Vena Kutashchanya Bibhati. So this devotees in a pure devotee platform, pure devotional platform, they are not asking, I will do devotional service, you give me place here, or you give me this, or you give me this seva only. No, anything, anywhere. That is the pure. But here, it's mixed. So these are 4 kinds. Prabhupada explained in the purpose. Let's see verse number 8. Yeah, read it.
Devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and angry, and who is separatist is considered to be in the mood of darkness. Mataji, these are my qualities. I perform bhakti, I try to perform devotional service, and my nature is this.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Rukmani and Srini Mataji. We all are in some or the other category, Mataji. We are all in the shower. So, here Prabhupada has used the word separatist. So, bhinnadrik, separatist. In next verses also it will come separatist, prathak bhava, separatist. So, what does that mean? We will see. So, abhisandhya, having a view of doing, violence or pride or envy, angry. So this all, when these symptoms are there in devotional aspect, in devotional service, when one executes with these things, he is considered to be doing things in mode of darkness, in ignorance. So actual, so it should be a hetuki apratihata, no? But motive should be to please the Supreme Lord only. But here, that is not the case. This is not actually the motive. He is having, he approaches the Supreme Lord, but he is proud. I sing so nicely. I decorate it so beautifully that, 10 people come and, praise about my qualification of decorating, whatever. So he is proud of his things, his qualification, his personality, whatever. Or envious of others. Envy ka baat hai, jab the other person has done something better than me, then envy comes. Why he's done better than me? So envy or vengeful. And then he's in the mood of anger. Or he thinks that he is the best devotee. So all these qualities, devotional service executed in this way is not pure devotional service. It is mixed and is of the lowest grade, tamasic. A Vaishnava is one who has taken the Supreme Lord as the ultimate goal, but if one is not pure and still has motives, he is not a Vaishnava of the first order. He is practicing, he is under shower, the lot of impurities is still there, it has to go, it will go, but right now he is not considered as the first class devotee of good character. One may offer his respect to such a Vaishnava because he has accepted the Supreme Lord as the ultimate goal, but one should not keep company with a Vaishnava who is in the mode of ignorance. So we can respect but keep distance. We can give our association by helping him, by giving him some, connection to the Shastra, to the classes or whatever, but personally should not keep company with a Vaishnava who is in mode of ignorance. So that does not mean that we avoid him. We to actually go and in the drunkard's place also we go and preach them out of compassion. But personally, we should not take their things. We should not appreciate their things and get carried away. So one may offer his respect to such a Vaishnava in a distance, So because this separatist mentality, I am the doer still, I am better. He is not in that level that Krishna is making me do this thing. Whatever quality I have, it is because coming from him, like that. So bhinnadrik, separate vision he has. So therefore, he is in the mode of ignorance. His bhakti is in the mode of ignorance. His practices, the performer's practices is in mode of ignorance. And then 9th verse.
Of deities in the temple by a separatist with a motive for material enjoyment, fame, and opulence is devotion in the mode of passion.
Yes. So worship of the deities in the temple by a separatist. So he is Prithak Bhava. Vishayan. He is with a motive for Vishayan, for some sense object or material enjoyment. And Yash. Kuch naam mile mujhe, for some fame. And Aishwarya, some opulence. If I do this, I will get this as a return gift. Or something like this. Or some name, fame, some power, position, whatever. That is in the mode of passion. So a separatist must be understood carefully. Bhinna Drik or Prithak Bhava. Earlier verse it was Bhinna Drik, means a separate vision he has, and here it is Prithak Bhava. That one who sees his interest as separate from that of the Supreme Lord. So this is mixed devotees. Devotees in the passion of ignorance and passion, devotees in the modes of passion and ignorance, think that the interest of the Supreme Lord is supplying the orders. I will do this, I will get this. So doing devotional service, but it is not pure. This is separatist mentality, Prithak Bhava. A devotee should not wish anything but to execute the desire of the Supreme Lord. So one more thing he is clearing, this is oneness. Oneness means not becoming one with the Supreme Lord, but making Lord's interest as our interest. That is oneness. When the devotee has an interest or will different from the interest of the Lord, his mentality is that of a separatist. But we don't have to become separatists. We have to make our interest aligned with the Supreme Lord's interest. Mayavadis think that this separatist means while worshipping the Lord, the one should think himself one with the Supreme Lord. This is wrong. This is an adulterated form of devotion within the modes of material nature. And when one even has a tinge of this personal interest, name, fame, power, position, interest, gain, something, his devotion is mixed with either of the modes, which is not pure. So always we should be grounded. Whatever credit we get, give it to the seniors, to Maharaj, to Prabhupada, to Krishna, to Radharani. We should not keep all the credit for us and become proud. Don't take credit. So 10th verse in mode of goodness. So pure devotional service, even we have to raise ourselves from this also. So we see 10th verse.
When a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the result of his activities in order to free himself from the inabilities of fruitive activities, his devotion is in the mode of goodness.
Yes. So this is better than ignorance and passion, but still it is not pure because he is doing all these things to free himself from all the fruitive activities. So he does not have that taste, but he's doing it as a duty and to get free from all his karma phala. So desire to free himself from karma. But we have to keep continuing this Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. So slowly our things will get purified. But this is also not pure at this stage. When such activities are performed, and such means according to Varna and Ashram, when they are performed and the results are offered to the Supreme Lord, they are called karma arpanam, duties performed for the satisfaction of the Lord. But if this offering is in the mode of goodness rather than in pure devotion, then the interest is different. Prabhupada is telling. In mode of goodness, what happens? We want to get free from all these material, karma phala, from the material reactions. But pure devotional service is anya vilashitashunyam, jnana karma navita. So still this is mode of goodness and not pure devotional service. But gopis, if we see, this story, Narad Muni is asking for Krishna has a headache, and if we get the dust of the gopis, then only the headache will go. So gopi said, yeah, take. But if you give dust, you will go to hell. It's okay, we go to hell for eternity, that's fine, even if it relieves Krishna for headache for one moment, So that is no karma phala, whatever, jnana karma navita. So that is pure devotional service. Narak mein jaye chalega, They are not worried about themselves. There are many stories like that in Ramanujacharya's pastimes also. But anyway, we move ahead. Prabhupada is telling one more thing here. Devotional service in the mode of, basically now we see ignorance, passion, and goodness, and the combination. So devotional service in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness can be divided into 81 categories. 3 to the power of 3. That means 3 into 3 into 3. So 3 and then ek ka mixture. And then again, the mixture. So 3 into 3 into 3, 81 categories. Mixed devotional practices in these 81 categories. So there is hearing in the mode of passion, there is hearing in the mode of ignorance, and there is hearing in the mode of goodness. So we see, Bhagavad Gita, one chapter is assigned for these 3 different modes. We can see everything in detail about these different modes. So bhakti doesn't become tamasic, rajasic, or sattvic. The performer is doing that bhakti in that, with such quality. So let's go to 11 and 12. Very important word.
Manifestation of unadulterated devotional service is exhibited when one's mind is at once attracted to hearing the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is residing in everyone's heart. Just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows towards the Supreme Lord.
Yes. Mad guna shruti matrena mai sarva guyase manogatir avichinna yato gangam bhato ambudho. So it's a beautiful verse, and this similar verse is there in 25th chapter, 32 verse also in this 3rd canto. And it all talks about anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karmanavitam anukulena krishna anushilanam bhaktiruttama. So first class devotional service, which is free from all material desires. Anya abhilashita shunyam, no other desires. Jnana karmanavitam, it should be free from the knowledge obtained by monastic philosophy. It is said, all this jnana of impersonal liberation or this, and free from karmadi, from fruitive action. Anukulena, it is favorably, practiced. So this verse 11, 12 very much matches with this another verse of Anya Bilashita Shunyam from Nectar of Devotion, and also 3rd canto 25th verse, 25th chapter 32nd verse. The same thing he's telling about pure devotional service. Pure bhakti is beyond 3 modes. That's what he said in 25th chapter. So this is unadulterated devotional service, complete shraddha. So there is no stoppage, no obstacle. Ahetuki apratiyata, continuous, like Ganga flows to the ocean, continuous. Even if obstacle comes, she goes either up or side or whatever, she continues to go. Even in the night also, I'm just telling, but the Ganga never stops. Continuously. That is pure bhakti. And it is said here, Mad guna shruti matrena, shruti, just by hearing. All our 9 processes, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, all these 9 processes starts with Shravanam. And every other process has the capacity to take us back to Godhead, but everything starts from Shravanam. Other processes also, we should have some Shravanam. So primary limb is hearing. For any seva, Shravanam is important. And mat guna shruti matrena mai sarva goyasya manogatir avichinna yatha gangam baso ambuda. So it is important also to understand this unadulterated devotional service happens with full shraddha. In the next 12th verse also it is said here. So shraddha means faith. So anything done without faith is not so useful basically. Any activity one performs without faith, it is said, it is as good as not performing. So important is your faith. We can refer Bhagavad Gita 17.28 for this point. That let's see. I will open 17.28. It's important and it's related to this word. Which says, somebody, if you got, you can read the word. 17.28. Anybody got? The translation of 17.28 Bhagavad Gita. Yes, 17.28. Who will read?
Anything done as sacrifice, charity, or penance without faith in the Supreme, O son of Parth, is impermanent. It is called asat and is useless both in this life and the next.
Yes. So anything done without faith is impermanent. It's called asat and useless in this life or in the next. So whatever we do, if we do it with faith, it gives a good result. Thank you, Manohar Vijayprabhu. Hare Krishna. So we were talking about Mad Guna Shruti. So by hearing, Mai Sarva Guyasya, mind flows in the Supreme Lord. By hearing, Rukmani Devi heard about Krishna and she got so attracted with his qualities. So by hearing, mind flows in it, and Manogatir Avichena. In our hearts, we develop the desire to achieve that. We move towards achieving that. Yatha Ganga Amma. So, like the Ganges flow towards ocean, uninterrupted. And in this 12th verse also it says Ahetuki Avyahita. So Ahetuki means Anya Vilashita Shunyam, and Avyahita. So means process should be continuous. It is not obstructed by any obstacles. It is continuous. I need to perform this, and this only, no other process. This verse 11, 12 very much have the same meaning as Anyabilashita Shunyam verse. The Supreme Lord is uncontaminated by the mode, and the affinity between him and the Supreme Lord is natural and is compared to the Ganges water flowing towards the sea. The flow of the Ganges water cannot be stopped by any condition. Similarly, the flow of the pure devotee's attraction for the transcendental name, form, pastimes of the Supreme Lord cannot be stopped by any material condition. Like any obstacle comes for Gangaji, it just continues flow either from up or side or whatever. Similarly, for pure devotee, there is no material obstruction. Nothing material can stop. It also means there is no material disqualification for practicing bhakti. Rich or poor, Indian or American, or educated or illiterate, whoever. No material qualification can obstruct bhakti. So that is, there's a verse in second canto, 4th chapter, 18th verse. Kirata, Hunandra, Pulindra, Pulsatha. All such kind of people also can take to bhakti. Anybody and everyone, because bhakti is independent. It does not have a conditions apply with the star mark. No, bhakti is independent. So therefore, anyone can do this. And because the Supreme Lord is uncontaminated by the mode, therefore, when the pure devotee gets attracted to the Supreme Lord, he follows, he also becomes free from the mode, because he's getting that quality of the Supreme Lord by his surrender to the Supreme Lord. So we get those qualities when we surrender. Avyavahita means without cessation, without stop, without, even if obstacles coming, we overcome that. So avyavahita. Okay. Now the 13th verse says another good point, that devotees reject liberation. I don't want liberation also. Without service to the Lord, I don't want to be anywhere. I just want service. Wherever you keep, it's okay. So devotees reject even liberation. That is verse number 13. Let's read.
Pure devotee does not accept any kind of liberation, Salokya, Sarshti, Samipya, Sarupya, or Ekatva, even though they are offered by the Supreme Personality of God.
And also 14.
By attaining the highest platform of devotional service, as I have explained, one can overcome the influence of the three modes of material nature and be situated in the transcendental stage as is the Lord.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. So in verse number 13 says all these 5 kinds of liberation: Salokya, Sarishti, Samritya, Sarupya, and Ekatva. So Prabhupada explains all these in one line, what does all that mean? And the main point here is the pure devotee does not accept any kind of liberation. We have discussed this many times. Even if they are offered, they are not interested if it is not, if it is taking them away from engagement, positive engagement of serving the Supreme Lord. So without seva, we cannot live. Devotees are only interested in doing the service. And he starts with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's words: Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, na kavitam va jagadish kamayam. So I don't wish to gain from you any wealth, beautiful wife, many followers, nothing. I just want life after life to serve you. Remain, a devotee at your lotus feet, like that he wants. So in life after life, a devotee does not even desire the cessation of birth and death. And this we see from many examples from Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavatam also. They don't even want, let me go back to Godhead, They want just to serve you. Wherever you want, Lord, I like to serve you. So devotees does not even desire the cessation of birth and death. He is satisfied to remain in this material world and execute devotional service. If that is the Lord's plan, I'm happy here. But I want to engage in your service. So Ekatva, oneness with the Supreme Lord, is desired by impersonalists, but not the devotees. Ekatva means merging into the effulgence. It is also called Kaivalya. So, but the happiness derived from Kaivalya is considered by a pure devotee to be hellish. That means he does not want it. The devotee is fond, he gets so much bliss in serving the Supreme Lord. The devotee is so fond of rendering service to the Supreme Lord that the 5 kinds of liberation are not important. Therefore, it is said he rejects. Rukmani Hariseni Mataji was telling, even if liberation is standing as, he rejects. He considers them hellish because he is so much getting rasa in serving the Supreme Lord. So Salokya, living on the same planet. Sarishti, the opulence of the devotee is equal to the opulence of the Supreme Lord. Samipya, to be personal associate of the Supreme Lord. And Sarupya, the bodily features of the devotee are exactly like those of the Supreme Lord. So Prahlad Maharaj's example, he's telling, my Lord, I have seen my father achieved all kinds of material benefits, and even the demigods were afraid of his opulence. And in a second, although he had so much power, in a second you finished him. So here talking about material prosperity. So the thing is, devotee is not interested in material gain or even liberation gain, So not even material or spiritual prosperity. He aspires only to serve the Lord, and that is the highest happiness. So this devotees reject even liberation. And then he says, by attaining the highest platform of devotional service, Jnana Karmana Vitam, whatever, everything aside, by attaining the highest platform, one can overcome the influence of 3 modes and be situated in the transcendental stage. So these are the 2 benefits. When we perform that pure devotional service, one surpasses the 3 gunas and one stays in that transcendental stage. So the Bhakti stage is described in this 14th verse. Surpassing the 3 gunas and situated in the transcendental stage. And now, from the next 15th verse is how this Bhakti stage, what is described in 14th, can be attained. So how this Bhakti stage of, getting free from the 3 gunas, surpassing the gunas and staying in the transcendental state, how this will be achieved? So the next verse is components of Bhakti. The Angas, Bhakti Angas, that is the next, from 15 to 17, it is the components of Bhakti basically. How that stage which is given in 14 can be achieved. Let's read 15.
A devotee must execute his prescribed duties, which are glorious, without material profit, without excessive violence. One should regularly perform one's devotional activities.
Yes, thank you. So he must execute his prescribed duties, swadharmena. which are glorious, without material profit. Animittena, he's telling, animittena, which is without attachment to the result. So first quality we saw is swadharmena, performing his prescribed duties, and devotional acts without violence. This is also important. Prabhupada explains this very nicely. First is prescribed duties which is performed without any material gain or profit, and second is regularly perform this devotional service without excessive violence, without violence. So little violence is natural. Prabhupada will explain this. We will see this verse now. So Swakarmanatam, one's prescribed duty under the direction of spiritual master. That's what Prabhupada is telling. And then he says, a Brahmana, anyone can, and no one is superior or no one is inferior. That's what Prabhupada is explaining. Everyone can do their prescribed duty, swadharma, and achieve. So it is not a Brahmana is eligible to go back to Godhead, Shudra or a Vaishya cannot. So Prabhupada gave example of each one that they also went. Like this, Brahmana can serve the Lord by using his intelligence. Kshatriyas can serve by using military arts. And Arjuna, he gives the example, he was a warrior. He had no time to study Vedanta, but he was a great devotee and he used his military art and he pleased the Lord. And then he gives the example of Vaishyas, which is the damsels of Vrindavan, Rajadham. They were girls born of Vaishya class. They engaged in protecting cows and producing agriculture things. And Nand Maharaj and his associates, they were all Vaishyas. So they also achieved the Lord. So wherever you are, if you just do your Swadharma nicely, you will achieve the Lord. There are many examples of Shudras. Here Prabhupada gives about Vidura. Now, what he is talking about violence, can somebody just say? It is given in the third paragraph, first, second, and third paragraph about violence. What does Prabhupada say?
A devotee eats vegetable. That is also violence. It says. But another significant phrase in this verse is Nati hin shrena, with minimum violence or sacrifice of life. Even if a devotee has to commit violence, it should not be done beyond what is necessary. Sometimes a question is put before us. You ask us not to eat meat, but you are eating vegetables. Do you think that is not violence?
So this is the answer if somebody asks. We have this, how much violence we can do and what is this, how to understand that. Yes, Mataji, some more example he gave. Can you go ahead?
The answer is that eating vegetables is violence, and vegetarians are also committing violence against other living entities because vegetables also have life. Non-devotees are killing cows, goats, and so many other animals for eating purposes, and a devotee who is vegetarian is also killing. But here, significantly, it is stated that every living entity has to live by killing another entity. That is a law of nature. Jivo jivasya jivanam. One living entity is the life for another living entity. But for a human being, that violence should be committed only as much as necessary. A human being is not to eat anything which is not offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
That's it, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. So Prabhupada says here, the answer is that eating vegetables is also violence, but it is the law of nature. Jivo jivasya jivanam. One living entity is the life of another living entity. And for human being, that violence should be committed only as much as necessary. And in the last 3 lines, he says, we cannot avoid violence. For we are put into a conditioned life in which we have to commit offense. But we should not commit more violence than necessary. Or that ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So not kill animals and other goats or somebody, whatever, for our sense gratification, not kill them unnecessarily. For human beings, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Krishna has said, yes, you can eat that. Second reason also is given that, we cut and they grow. So, not kill animals, but all plants, we can cut plants and eat. That is okay. That is allowed. So, we cannot avoid violence completely. And then, example also given is, only as much as ordered by the Lord. Example is Arjuna engaged in art of killing, and although killing, he has done some violence, but he killed on the order of Krishna. So he has not done any offense or any aparadha. So if we commit offense, how much ever is necessary by the order of the Lord, then it is not himsa. It is not himsa. So that is the understanding. Now we take a break of maybe 7-8 minutes. So we come back at 11:40. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we are in verse number. Yes. Yes. Verse number 16. So what we are discussing is how to attain that bhakti stage which is described in 14th verse. Huh? So what are the components of bhakti, angas of bhakti? We are discussing how to attain that. Okay, 16.
The devotee should regularly see my statues in the temple, touch my lotus feet, and offer worshipable paraphernalia and prayer. He should see in the spirit of renunciation from the mode of goodness and see every living entity as spiritual.
Yes. So devotee should regularly see my statues in the temple. That means the deities. So seeing, touching, worshipping them with different paraphernalia, praying to the deities, and seeing every living entity with detachment and compassion, and with equal vision. Bhuteshu mad bhavanya. So seeing every living entity with detachment and compassion, and its equal vision. So Prabhupada now here explains about different aspects. That person, an advanced devotee, accepts the deity in the temple as the Supreme Lord. There's no difference between the Supreme Lord and the deity. Like we hear, there's no difference between the Supreme Lord and his name, Abhinna Tvam Nam Namino. So he does not see any difference between the original form of the Lord and the Archavigraha in the temple. So that is the vision of a devotee who is in the highest stage of highest platform, Whereas a neophyte worship the temple in the temple deities as a matter of routine, and he sees the temple deity worship is he goes to see the deity in the temple, nicely decorated and respect, and he touches the lotus feet of the Lord and present offerings, this and that, and it is said a devotee should try to see all living entities on the same equal level of the spiritual existence. That means Pandita Samadarshina. He should see every living entity. The Lord is present not only in the deities, but everywhere. He does not see the body, which is just the outer covering or the outer dress, but he sees the spiritual spark. But if a person is not in that advanced stage, he sees a difference in the Lord, in different living entities, and then he does not see every living entity as part and parcel. Then he is prakrit bhakta. That means a materialistic devotee. That means he is not a pure devotee. Prakrit bhakta. That is what Prabhupada says. So still one should continue. Prabhupada says, even if we are on that level, we should not stop. We should have patience and continue. One should not give up the execution of devotional service because, oh, I did one time, I did two times, I did three times, I'm not getting paid. So this process does not work. No, just keep doing. Patience is very much necessary for developing the confidence that Krishna will certainly accept me. And having the confidence and the understanding that Rakshisyati iti Vishwaso. He is there to save me, protect me, and give me shelter. So continue executing devotional practices, continuously serve with proper rules and regulations and patience. Yeah, and we already discussed this. Vaishnava Chakravarti Thakur says, even if one is a Vaishnava, if he is not good character, his company should be avoided. Keep this one. Respect, give all the facilities, whatever is in your hand, and keep distance. He may be offered the respect, but his company should be avoided. Anyway, so let's learn 17th word. These are the characteristics, deity worship, detached and spiritual vision, and then 17th word.
Translation. The pure devotee should execute devotional service by giving the greatest respect to the spiritual master and the acharyas. He should be compassionate to the poor and make friendship with persons who are his equals. but also his activity, but all his activities should be executed under regulation and with control of the senses.
Yes. So respect, compassion, friendship, and regulation. Rules and regulations, that means yam and niyam, is very important. We have to really follow these rules and regulations. These are the basic thing, where all other things stand. So, इसलिए Prabhupada always from the beginning enforced on 4 regulatory principles. These are the rules and regulations one has to do and not do. So, and he also emphasizes one should steadily control the senses and mind by strictly following the rules and regulations. And friendship should be cemented, cement word he has used. Friendship should be cemented between persons with mutual interest and understanding. Such persons are said to be swajatis, of the same caste. That means of the same understanding. Not same caste literally means same caste, but of the same understanding, Then it's a good match of our discussion and each other, increasing faith of each other. So that friendship should be cemented by Krishna Katha, basically. Katha from, our Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Upanishads, and Chaitanya Charitamrita and everything. So, like in construction work, we see, we use, cement, we use sand, water, other things, But what is the most important thing is the cement. Sometimes, normally, if they use less cement, the construction is not so good. It comes out, it falls. So cement is like Krishna Katha, very important. That is the holding power, which keeps each devotee and oneself also enlightened. So keeping Krishna in the center means keeping that Krishna Katha very alive, always. Then the relationship among other devotees also becomes strong. Like when there's a good cement, the wall becomes very strong, the construction becomes strong. So that is the point. Then let's go to 18.
A devotee should always try to hear about spiritual matters, should always utilize his time in chanting the holy name of the Lord. His behavior should always be straightforward and simple, and although he is not envious but friendly to everyone, he should avoid the company of persons who are not spiritually.
Yes. So this is talking about, again, the angas of bhakti, Adhyatmik Anushravanat. We should hear from Anushravanat, should hear from our seniors, our spiritual masters. And then Nam Sankirtan, chanting, should always be straightforward and simple. And have the company of persons who are spiritually advanced. Arya Sangena, take association of saintly persons, association is very important. Not envious. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, it says, Asat Sang Tyag Ei Vaishnavachar. That's what Prabhupada is telling. Asat Sang Tyag Ei Vaishnavachar. Sri Sang Eka Sadhu, Krishna Abhakta Ar. So, a Vaishnava should avoid association of ordinary people who are very much materially oriented or materially attached, especially a woman. So, and those who are abhakta, so Sri Sangha Eka Sadhu Krishna Abhakta are. We should not associate with people, even those who are attached to women or material things. So to that extent, we have to be careful. Like I said, for devotees, the faith is very important. Like for materialistic, money is important, right? We remember we discussed this last time. For materialistic person, money is important. Yena kena prakaran, I should have, my money should not be lost. That is materialistic mentality. And for devotee, yena kena prakaran, my faith should not be lost. So I should not go to that place. I should not go to that devotee or that person. I should not hear from this, movie or whatever. Anything which destroys my faith, I will be sattark. I will take precautions. So what devotee faith is so important. So here it is said, Sri Sang Eka Sadhu Krishna Bhakta. So Asat Sang Tyag Ei Vaishnavachar. And actually only grihasthas are allowed to associate with women. That too restricted. Only for procreation, to have nice children and no other reason. That's also, therefore it is restricted, So grihasthas can also be sannyasis that way if they have a proper, set rules and regulations and do according to the Shastras. So 15 to 18, we discussed these angas, and if we practice like that, then it will give rise to pure bhakti. So 15, 16, 17, 18, these are the components of bhakti. If we do all these things, it will give rise to pure bhakti, which is 19 and 20. So let's read 19, 20.
When one is fully qualified with all these transcendental attributes and his consciousness is thus completely purified, he is immediately attracted simply by hearing my name or hearing of my transcendental quality.
20 also.
As the chariot of air carries an aroma from its source and immediately catches the sense of smell, similarly, one who constantly engages in devotional service in Krishna consciousness can catch the Supreme Soul, who is equally present everywhere.
Super. 19 and 20. Whatever components of bhakti we saw, if we follow that, it will lead to pure bhakti. It will give rise to pure bhakti, which is explained in 1920. When one is fully qualified with all these qualities and his consciousness is completely purified, he immediately becomes attracted simply by hearing my name or hearing my transcendental quality. So that what is given in text 11. See, first he explained about the stage, pure devotional service. And then he said how one can achieve by these angas, by these components of bhakti. And then he's telling, okay, if we follow that, then again, 11th verse, if you go back, it is said, Mad Guna Shruti Matrena. Here Prabhupada tells in the purport of verse number 19, Mad Guna Shruti Matrena, which is in text number 11. By hearing. Simply by hearing of name, quality, form, etc. of the Supreme Lord, one is immediately attracted. So that's what he's explaining here. By following all the rules and regulations, compassion, or what all qualities we discussed, we will achieve that. And then in 19, it is said, as the chariot of air carries an aroma from its source, yatha vat ratha granam. Granam is this, the nose is the gross sense, and gran, the sense of smell is the subtle sense. You know? So yatha vat ratha granam. As the chariot of air carries an aroma from its source and immediately catches the sense of smell, similarly, one who constantly engages in devotional service can catch the Supreme Soul. That means he can attract his attention, his mercy. So as a breeze carries this nice smell, similarly, one's pure consciousness carries, or Prabhupada writes, captures the Supreme Lord. He writes in the purpose. So this is the result. As air carries aroma from its source, bhakti, the pure consciousness, carries one's mind to the Lord. And then from 21 to 24 is the problem. That in our devotional service, we do offenses. So we do all the things, but if we, at the same time, if we are doing offenses, that restricts our advancement basically. So, so the next few verses are describing about what obstructs us in getting the stage of pure devotional service. So disregard, hatred, and criticism. So these four verses we will discuss. 21, 22, let's read.
Text 21. I am present in every living entity as a super soul. If someone neglects or disregards that super soul everywhere and engages himself in the worship of the deity in the temple, that is simply imitation. Text 22. One who worships the deity of Godhead in the temples but does not know that the Supreme Lord as Paramatma is situated in every living entity's heart must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers oblations into ashes.
Yeah, to such an extent. See, one who worships the deity of Godhead in temple but does not know that the Supreme Lord is situated in every living entity, or theoretically know but does not act that way, he must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers oblations to ashes. We don't offer oblations to ashes because it has no value. So that is compared to such an extent, you know, who does not know that Supreme Lord is present in every living entity's heart. So he basically disregards or neglects the living entity. Although I am present in every living entity as super soul, if one neglects and only engages himself in worshipping the deities in the temple, it is not a complete understanding basically. Right? So he's doing an offense. I am present in everyone's heart, and if ignorant person neglects me, his worship of deities is simply an imitation, which is like offering oblations into ashes. So this is one offense. We have to really treat everyone equally, understanding them as a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. 1 minute, somebody is mute, I will do, okay. Yes. So, this is 21, 22. One who is advanced, he can engage not only in living being service, but everything, whatever. So, important, the last line. One who is advanced in Krishna consciousness can engage not only the living being, but everything in the service of the Lord. So, living being, that means spirit, and everything is matter. Whatever he has, he engages in the Supreme Lord's service. One who is advanced, but otherwise we discriminate. One engages in deity worship in the temple and does not consider other living entities, then he is in the lower grade of devotional service, or he is in one way kind of. We will hear some examples after discussing all these 3 points. So let's read 22. Oh no, 22 we did. 23.
Text 23. One who offers me respect but is envious of the bodies of others, and is therefore a separatist, never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities.
Yes, so he worships me but hates other beings. How can he attain peace? He is having that hatred. So we really pray to the Lord, therefore, to remove this. Sakala samana korite shakati deho nata yathaya. Sakala samana. I can see with equal vision everyone, to not discriminate, basically. Sakala samana korite shakati. Give me this this blessing, O Lord. So a devotee must know in every living entity, however insignificant he may be, even in an ant, God is present. Therefore, every living entity should be kindly treated and should not be subjected to any violence. And then about hatred, he is telling, Prabhupada is bringing here a point of prasadam distribution. How he is connecting. A devotee's vision, therefore, must be perfect in a way. He should ignore bodily distinctions and should see only the presence of super soul in that living being, in that jiva. So distribution of prasadam or the remnants of food offered to the Lord, even to the ignorant mass of people or to the animals, gives them the facility to elevate in Krishna consciousness. So this devotees are expected to carry the message or desire of the Lord to everyone. All the conditioned souls we should go and help. What about human beings? We should give prasad to all the animals also as much as possible. Shivanand Sen example is given here, and we know so many examples in our movement, and some of us also, or many of us also, we just got attracted with prasad, and then later we got into philosophy and understanding and services, and then it increases. So Krishna Prasad is really miracle. So how to remove that hatred? Prabhupada is connecting. We should distribute. Not just somewhere he's mentioning either in this purport or in another purport also. It's not just in our home. We cook the best food, offer it to the Lord, and eat ourselves. Better distribute also. So he says in one of the purports it will come. So let's go to 24, which is criticism. Another big important thing, the obstacle.
Mataji, can I ask question also?
Yes, please.
Okay, Mataji, there are 3 types of devotees, Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama, and we are talking about this also. And the things comes like a like-minded devotees. If I make a friend of mine, so that should be like-minded, like the taste I have in Bhakti. So I will choose a devotee with whom I will make a friendship. So that means like-minded devotee, but of course I will go for friendship. So Mataji, now it's coming like how to make a discrimination that I don't have to associate with the envious one, and I'm also, I have to discriminate also. So, and I have envy, so I come to know that this person is envious to me. Generally, the anartha and the dosha I have, that only I will be able to see in other. So to
Yeah.
Mataji,
Yeah.
elevate my
Super
consciousness.
Mataji,
Like,
your answer will be answered. Prabhupada gives the example later. So just hold your question. It will be answered soon.
okay, Mataji.
I remember he gives the example, so we will discuss there. So verse number 24 is about criticism. That person who does all rituals, but he talks ill. Even if he worships with proper rituals, a person who is ignorant of my presence in all living entities, never pleases me. So here Prabhupada is telling, we cannot bribe the Supreme Lord. He is so great that anyway our bribery has no value. Okay, what can we give to the Lord? So bribery in the sense, whatever we do, Krishna accepts, or I have done so much for so many years, you need to give now, you are bound to give. No, we cannot bribe the Supreme Lord like that. He is so great that he does not need our bribery, and he has no scarcity, he has everything. We simply offer with love and gratitude to the Lord, because he has given so much. So with love and gratitude, we should offer. And that gratitude and love is exhibited by a pure devotee by distribution of prasad. So here it is said, what I was telling now, one should not just be in a private apartment, cook and offer and eat ourselves. That is better than not offering, but we should distribute. That is the higher level of understanding, to know that God is present in every living entity. I give my family members nice laddus, and others I give some, frying chips, something. No, that is, he's telling, a devotee who wants to elevate himself to higher level of understanding must know that the Lord is present in every living entity, and we should be compassionate, and he should distribute prasad. So one should exhibit his compassion by distributing prasad to the ignorant mass of people, by offering this, by giving them the opportunity to. Yes, Rukmani Haritevni Mataji, your raised hand, or the same question? Okay, so now if you see these three things, because the next is the solution. So before we go to the solution, offenses in Bhakti is very important, and there are many books about the holy name which describes about these offenses. Very straightforward, our acharyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given, how we should behave, how we should associate. So Vaishnava Aparadh offense includes the offenses from the body or the mind or the words. To not feel joyful upon seeing a Vaishnava is an offense. To not feel joyful by seeing a Vaishnava. So basically, the Skanda Puran describes the 6 types of Vaishnava Aparadh. First, one who kills a devotee. 2, 3, Hanti, Nindati, Vaidveshati. So one after another. One who blasphemes the devotee. Blaspheming a devotee, finding fault. One who is envious of devotee, why he is getting so much. One who fails to offer obeisances to Vaishnavas upon seeing them. That means not giving respect, or not become happy, basically. One who becomes angry with a Vaishnava. This is all offense. And one who does not become joyful upon seeing a Vaishnava. So these 6 classes of foolish man who blaspheme, they are not liked by the Lord, basically. So the advancement gets obstructed. And we should also not see different devotees and judge, like Rukmani Haritevni Mataji said, we have to discriminate to see to whom we should associate with, but we should not judge in the sense, this is a low Vaishnava, or he came 2 years back and I came 20 years back, so I am senior, or comparing with others, not with ourselves, comparing with other devotee to other devotee, like that we should not compare. We don't know what they have done in their previous life already, so we should not become the victim of some aparadh that way. Lord Chaitanya said, renouncing criticism of others, everyone, if one chants, I personally deliver, that person who never criticizes, who does not criticize and just chants. So it is given example of a sieve, chalni, जिसमें छेद होते हैं. So a sieve is full of 1,000 holes, and if the sieve criticizes the needle, that needle has a hole. So it is just a laugh. We ourselves are not perfect, and if we are finding fault in others, it is completely out of the question basically, or it is not at all beneficial for us. So if we have that tendency to see bad or to see fault, then we really have to work on it basically. And that is the quality of a sadhu. Even if one has 99% bad quality and 1% good quality, a sadhu sees that 1% of good quality and stands that quality so that it can be highlighted and it can be increased. He does not see 99% bad qualities. Prabhupada, if he would see the bad qualities, nobody would have become devotee. But he just saw one thing, he supplied toilet paper, or he appreciated, or he gave some donation, or he just waved hand in the in Sankirtan, whatever little, he gave flowers. So he fanned that. He did not see the bad quality, and that is the quality of a sadhu. So we should not hear criticism even if somebody is telling you. So it is said, anyone who fails to, if somebody is telling, basically we should not hear. If we are in a position, we should correct somebody that we should not speak like this. If we are not in a position, we should leave that place and not hear. So it's a whole lot of discussion about how to get rid of offenses, but we have to work on it. We all have, in some or the other point of time, these challenges. It comes. So when we keep hearing, reading about the glories of the holy name, about coming out of the offenses, about pure devotional service, about pleasing the Supreme Lord, then slowly it will come. Every time it comes, it will remind us, no, it's not good. So disregard, hatred, and criticism is the root cause of offenses which obstruct our advancement. So what is the solution? The solution is realize the presence of Lord in everyone. That's what in every single verse, if you see, that was the description. Who is ignorant of my presence in all living entities, or who does not see, in everyone's heart, I am present, like that. So the solution is realize the presence of Lord in everyone. That is, have equal vision. So what does that have equal vision? The answer will come here, 25 to 27. So let's read. 25.
Mataji, we did not read 24 as well. Like 22.
24, we did not read. We did.
Okay, all right, take it.
25, yeah.
Text 25. Performing his prescribed duties, one should worship the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead until one realizes my presence in his own heart and in the hearts of other living entities as well.
Yes.
Shall I read the next
So, yeah. We'll read another one also. 25, 26, 27, then we discuss.
Okay, Mataji. Text 26. As a blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities because of a differential outlook. 27. Therefore, through charitable gifts and attention, as well as through friendly behavior and by viewing all to be alike, one should propitiate me who abide in all creatures as their very self.
No, 27. Yeah, fine. So, performing his prescribed duties, one should worship the deity until one realizes my presence in his own heart and in the hearts of other living entities. That means keep doing sadhana bhakti. And one should worship the deity of the Lord until one realizes the presence in his own heart and in the hearts of other living entities. So, swa karma krit, discharge your prescribed duties. It is not that one who has become a devotee should give up his prescribed duties. Nice. He should continue doing his duties No one should be lazy under the plea of devotional service. That is Prabhupada says in 25. And then he says, as a blazing fire of death, I causes great fear. So when there is fear, then as a blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whosoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities. So that fear of falling down, that fear of not achieving the Lord's lotus feet, Krishna gives so that we become alert, kind of that warning. So realize the presence of Lord in everyone. Lord is watching everyone because He is present in every living entity. So how to realize Lord in everyone? Through charitable gifts and attention, as well as through friendly behavior and by viewing all to be alike. One should propitiate me who abides in all creatures in very self. So here one example is given. Man and Dan. Man indicates a superior. And Dan indicates one who gives charitable gifts or is compassionate towards an inferior. A superior is giving charitable gifts and compassionate towards the inferior. We cannot treat the Supreme Lord as an inferior who is dependent on our charitable gifts. Of course, when we are giving donations, we should not think we are better or we are giving because of us, the temple construction is happening or Jagannath Rath Yatra is happening because I gave the donation. So we cannot treat the Supreme Lord as inferior who is dependent on our charity. This is an important point. तो हम वो जो दान पेटी बोलते हैं ना, एक्चुअली वो मान पेटी है इन राइट सेंस. हम मान दे रहे हैं भगवान को, मान दे रहे हैं मतलब उनको सम्मान दे रहे हैं, दान नहीं देते. हम भगवान को क्या दान देंगे? He is so the Lord of. So man indicates a superior and dan given to somebody who is inferior. So Lord is always superior. So when we give charity or dan to the inferior people, but to the Lord we give, man, respect is offered to the superior and charity is offered to the inferior. So we should not at the same time understand that super soul situated in the heart of an animal like a hog and the super soul situated in the heart of a learned Brahmana are different. So this also we discussed in the last chapter. Paramatma is same, but in what body he has, according to that, he acts. The Paramatma is same. And the example was given of a fire. Remember? Fire is same. If it is wood, the color may be different. If it is LPG, the color may be different. If it is cow dung, the color may be different. But the fire is same. So depending on the entity, the attributes are different, but the Paramatma is same. That is what is explained here. So realizing the presence of the Lord everywhere, and He is the same in all the living entities. And then from 28 to 36, sorry, it is a description of different gradations. So here also, Mataji, your uncle will come when we will discuss this. Gradations of jivas from inanimate objects to the pure devotees. You will see it is going from left to right and then down and then down and then left to right and then down, from right to left and then down and then from right to left coming to the pure devotee. So this is the hierarchy basically, or the gradation in jivas. So we will see one by one. So the next 8 verses describes about this. 6 verses, yeah. Different gradations of jiva. So equal vision does not mean that the devotee loses the discrimination. And here Prabhupada somewhere will give the example of a tiger. We see with equal vision that yes, the tiger also has Paramatma in it and my friend also has Paramatma, and that does not mean that because of equal vision, I embrace my friend also and I embrace the tiger also. No. So therefore, this gradation is explained in scriptures. So equal vision is not equal to losing discrimination. Let's read 28.
Living entities are superior to inanimate objects. O blessed mother, and among them, living entities who display life symptoms are better. Animals with developed consciousness are better than them, and better still are those who have developed sense perception.
So here, different gradations in jivas. One should have discrimination when to behave friendly and when to give them charity. That means, a dog is sitting on the door. We give him prasad. Prabhupada especially says about dog here. We don't bring them and keep them in our sofa or bed, or a dog is not allowed in the house. But we are compassionate. We are seeing them with equal vision. We are giving them prasad. That's it. So, in this verse and in the following verse, the descriptions of different grades of living entities is given, so that one can know when to behave friendly and when to just give charity. For example, a tiger is also a part and parcel of the Lord. Supreme Lord is Paramatma is there in his heart also. But that does not mean we have to treat the tiger in a friendly manner. We have to treat him differently, giving him charity in the form of prasad. And then he talks about the dog. We can keep dogs, but outside the house. We can see the Lord is there as Paramatma in his heart also, but we should not bring them inside and treat like other human beings or our friends or relatives or family members. We have to treat them in the same way we treat other human beings. It does not mean that when we understand equal vision. The feeling of equality must be there, but the treatment should be discriminated. So this is the answer, Prabhupada itself is answering. The first division is made between dead stone-like matter, that means inanimate object. So living entities are superior to inanimate objects. Dead stone-like matter. Prabhupada gives you an example of sometimes a hill or a mountain also grows. Like we hear, Giraj Govardhan is getting taller. Some mountain also grows, it says. That means inanimate object, stone-like matter. But compared to that, the living entities are superior than inanimate objects. And in that, the living entities which are immovable entities are lower. And the living entities which are movable, they are better. And that's what is the description. Because they have greater consciousness. So, yes? Okay. So living entities are superior to inanimate objects, and they are superior, among them also, animals with developed consciousness are better than those who are immovable, the plants. And better are still those who have developed sense perception, more developed consciousness. So 29, 30, let's read 2 verses.
Text 29. Among the living entities who have developed sense perception, those who have developed the sense of taste are better than those who have developed only the sense of touch. Better than them are those who have developed the sense of smell, and better still are those who have developed the sense of hearing. Text 30. Better than those living entities who can perceive sound are those who can distinguish between one form and another. Better than them are those who have developed upper and lower sets of teeth, and better still are those who have many legs. Better than them are the quadrupeds, and better still are the human beings.
Yeah, so we clearly understand this gradation. Prabhupada says, better than trees are the fish. Trees have touch perception. Some trees we touch, and if it is very, delicate, then it dies. It does not grow. So they have touch perception. And better than the trees are the fish, because fish have developed the sense of taste also. So you see, the sense perception, better, than touch is the taste sensation also. And better than that is the living beings with the sense of smell. Like the bees, they have the developed the sense of smell also. Better than them are the serpents because they have developed the sense of hearing also. They hear the croak, croak, and they go and eat them. So these are the gradations different, and better than those who are hearing also, then one who can distinguish between one form and another. That means living entities with who are moving with lower and upper sets of teeth. Better still are those who have many legs. You know, we see some mosquito or some entities have many legs. And then better than those who have 4 legs. Better than those who are 2 legs, that means human beings. So 4-legged animals are better than many-legged animals, and better than animals with human being who has only 2 legs. And in human beings now come 31, 32. From inanimate objects, we came to human beings, one after another. And now from human beings, we will see there are different gradations also. So this is, equal vision, but still they have a discrimination. We are discriminated because they are different. Yes, 31, 32.
Among human beings, the society which is divided according to quality and work is best. In that society, the intelligent men who are designated as Brahmanas are best. Among the Brahmanas, the one who has studied the Vedas is the best. And among the Brahmanas who have studied the Vedas, the one who knows the actual purport of Veda is the best. Text 32. Better than the Brahmanas who knows the purpose of the Vedas is he who can dissipate all doubts, and better than him is one who strictly follows the Brahmanical principles. Better than him is one who is liberated from all material contamination, and better than him is a pure devotee who executes devotional service without expectation of reward.
So it comes to pure devotion. So among human beings, it starts from animals with 4 legs, then humans with 2 legs. The third line, the third row, second square, second rectangle. Humans with 2 legs. And then non-varnashram humans. Then humans in varnashram. And then in varnashram brahmanas. And brahmanas, especially not all the brahmanas, among those brahmanas who know the Vedas. Vedesha sarvedahame vedyoni. And then brahmanas who know the Vedas, that means he has answers to all the questions if somebody asks, but who also follows that. And then Brahmana who also follows his duties, and then the liberated person, and then the pure devotee. So this is the gradations, different gradations. And it appears that system has been current a very long time. It is not, it is since it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, the system of Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras are there already. That is Prabhupada. So these are different gradations. Yes. Brahmana who has the thorough analytical understanding, better than that Brahmana is one who is clearing the doubts of others also. And better than that is not only clearing the doubts of others, but also he himself is following all the practices. He has all Brahmanical characteristics. He knows the purpose of the Vedas, is still better than all those Brahmanas. And then one who teaches by his own example, Prabhupada is giving Acharya. He executes devotional service. So highest, now another important point here is, the highest professional Brahmana is a Vaishnava. That means when one becomes a Vaishnava, the Brahmanical qualities, he is already a Brahmana. A Vaishnava who knows the science of absolute truth, but is not able to preach such knowledge to others is described as being of the lower stage. One who not only understands the principles, but also can preach is the second stage. And one who not only can preach, but also sees everything in the absolute truth and absolute truth in everything. Yomam pashyati sarvatra, sarvam chamai pashyati. So that is again the highest. He sees everywhere Lord's presence. Everyone is in the Lord, and the Lord is in everyone's heart. So that is still the highest. So 3 gradations are given in the last paragraph of this 32nd verse. So in Brahmanas, the highest is one who knows the science of the absolute truth and follows. And now 33, 34. Let's read this too.
Text 33. Therefore, I do not find a greater person than he who has no interest outside of mine, and who therefore engages and dedicates all his activities and all his life, everything unto me without cessation. Text 34. Such a perfect devotee offers respects to every living entity because he is under the firm conviction that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has entered the body of every living entity as a super soul or controller.
Yeah. So best is this person. Best is this person who has no interest outside of me, and who engages and dedicates all his activities and all his life, everything to me, without pause, without cessation. So this is the best. He, Samdarshanat, means no longer has any separate interest other than the interest of the Supreme Lord. So with the body, mind, and word, Kayena, Manasa, Vacha, three things he applies, he engages by these three things in the service of the Lord. He who dedicates his life by all his activities, his mind, soul, and all his karma, mana, and vatan, body, mind, and word, kayena, manasa, vacha. He does it he dedicates it for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. He is considered the best person. Without any sense of proprietorship, a devotee has no personal desire. So, and the 34 verse, he says, Manasa etani bhutani. Pranamet, matlab pranamet, that means he offers bahumanyam, showing regard. So a devotee offers respect to every jiva, every living entity, because he has the firm conviction that the Supreme Lord is in every jiva. So he offers respect to everyone. So offering respect means understanding these gradations, what they already described. So we have some, like Prabhupada gives the example of a dog, we cannot bring them inside. Tiger, we cannot embrace. We can give them prasad. That is the equal vision, understandable. And among devotees also, as Mataji asked, it comes naturally, basically. Automatically, we open our heart to one who has matches our frequency, who understands or who is of our understanding level. We share our heart with them. And there are some devotees whom we respect, but automatically we don't feel like sharing our personal things, because they might be practicing, they might be having whatever challenges and all. We respect them. We don't criticize also, or we don't find fault also, but still we keep distance. So there is always this discrimination is there. So not in having the seeing with equal vision, but having the discrimination, whom to associate more, whom to share the confidential things, and whom to respect from distance. It automatically comes when we serve. Hare Krishna. Somebody said something. Okay. And if we have some doubts, we should always go to our seniors and ask, if while doing some services under some seniors, or doing some services together among equals. If we have anything, we should not directly tell that person. That is the understanding, that is the teachings we get from our seniors, that if we are in a position, we should correct, because that is the service. Maharaj or president or our counselor, they correct somebody because it's their duty. So as a service they are doing, they have no enmity for us. But if we don't have that position, then we should not correct anyone. We should guide them And if we have a capacity, if we have that friendly relationship, then we humbly say, because you know that person will not get hurt, but that person will understand and take it in the right spirit, then we can say. So it depends on case to case. But if it is not the case, then better we should go to senior and then not complain, but as a concern for his betterment, for upliftment, we should convey so that the person gets the correction, in a positive way. And seniors understand, whom to give correction at what time, or should just wait patiently, or how to say. So very, very careful. Most important is our intention, whether we want to find faults and put him low, or we want to help him so that he can grow in bhakti. So this verse number 35 onwards is Kapil Dev concludes, and he says, how by bhakti we can achieve Bhagwan, by Ashtanga Yoga, how one attains the Brahman realization. Similarly, by bhakti we can achieve the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So this 35 and 36 is the conclusion. Then the answer to the next question, which is about science. So let's read 35 and 36.
Can we take a question, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Anindra Mataji, you can ask your question.
Ananda Mataji.
Hi,
Mataji.
Mataji. I have a question. Like here, we are talking about that, how pure devotee sees everybody with an equal vision. And he sees, super soul. What is the practical way to get there? I mean, it's stated in the Bhagavad Gita also, here on many other references also, I believe. So just by thinking that super soul is present in everyone, how do we come to this realization, or how do we come to this practice? I mean, we all accept, yes, super soul is present in everyone, but how do we actually see that? How do we actually live to that? It's
Yeah. Yes, Ananda Mataji. Thank you. That is what is our process, to understand that and to act in our life that way. So whatever years we have practiced, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, we see the difference in ourselves. How we used to behave earlier in, respect for anything might be, we take some food and, if we don't like, we just throw. Or if we, lot of mosquitoes, we kill mosquitoes, or anything, we would not bother so much earlier. But now when we are practicing bhakti, we see the difference in ourselves. We are aware that every, small or big living entity has a soul inside. So I should not become the cause of, or to kill that living entity. We are very much cautious now. So that is the effect of following the process. And eventually, when we keep following, that vision will come. Right now, it is something higher, to see everyone with equal vision, because we are in a practicing state. We are doing very sadhana bhakti. We still discriminate. But this is the goal. This is the highest thing, that we should see them equally. So when this will happen, when we will not identify with the body. When we are identifying with the body, that means we are, this is my, and this is I and mine consciousness. Coming out of that is our goal. Every teaching you take, Rishabh Dev's teaching, or whichever teaching you take, it says, until and unless we are in this consciousness, we will be bound. So seeing with equal vision means coming out of that mentality, me and mine. When we come in that mood, me and mine, say, upper, so that time it will be easy, or we can be able to see not the outer covering. In one of the verses it was coming that this person who is advanced, I think it was coming in last chapter, he does not see the outer covering, whether it be an ant body or a dog body or a brahmana body. He because he sees the soul inside, super soul inside. So it will come. Practically, at the moment we have to, we have already started that process by treating, and not hurting intentionally. So this process has started. If we just continue, that stage will also come. Prabhupada says, if you just keep following, one day we will see that you are a pure devotee. That means you are seeing everyone with equal vision. You are not thinking of this me and mine. So this is the root cause. So the process of following and associating and everything is helping. It will help to come out of that consciousness. Why me and you are sitting without, nobody is, or why Prabhupada, for example, he is going, he is not getting any money, but he's taking so much sacrifice. So talking about Prabhupada or any devotee, we go for preaching door to door or for book distribution in December in all villages. It is just to please Prabhupada. It's just to please the Supreme Lord, taking all the pain. So when we take all the pain, when we understand that every living entity is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and we are getting, one step ahead of bodily consciousness. More and more, if we keep serving like that, taking sacrifice for others, that is the quality of the top class devotee. He not only discuss about the solutions, but also he takes pain to help other person to provide that solution and to get them out of that problem. So these qualities are coming, and it will come more and more, and we will see with equal vision. So yes, Pallav Prabhuji, you have to say something.
Thank you, Mataji. It just seemed very to me like, oh, it's quite far where I am and where we have to go.
In that case, always we should see the back, that where we were and now where we are. There's a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Because we see the goal, it is the goal is the highest goal,
Yeah.
So compared to that, we feel we are nowhere, and this is good sign because it will help us to improve. But at the same time, we should not get depressed also that I'm doing so much, but I'm not getting any advancement or any space or bliss is not coming. It is coming. It is happening. So we should sometimes pat ourselves also, not boost so much, but yes, earlier I was having these thoughts, but now at least my thoughts has purified. I'm not thinking in this aspect, in this way, with somebody. Many instances we can see if some neighbor is telling how you are responding now, how you would have responded before when you were not a devotee, or how you would have responded basically. So there's a lot of difference. So we are improving. We are improving. We are not disturbing others unnecessarily. There's lots. So devotees also should appreciate, our own improvement also. That way it gives a positive impetus to move ahead. It's working. It is working. It will work for sure. So it is a very much positive input, when we compare ourselves with our own self, what we were in the past. We should do sometimes.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good.
Yeah, I see. I had so much stuff, since few days. Still, I want to serve. I'm praying, Krishna, please, whatever you want, you help me. Anyway, we are not the doer, so you do whatever you want. And otherwise, I would have. What is the point? I could have cancelled. I could have. Why I'm taking so much pain? No, this is my service. This is my purification. I'm in the process. So we take all the pain. We extend ourselves. We learn from Prabhupada, our seniors. So we do it. So it is improving. Earlier, we were always Lakshmi Moni Mataji Prabhupada disciple. I learned from her Bhakti Shastri in 2008, in Mayapur. So she was telling, we always think, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? Whatever activity we do, what's in it for me? Now we are not thinking. We are little, in a better consciousness now. We are always not thinking what's in it for me. मतलब मेरा क्या फायदा है इसमें तभी करूँगी नहीं. We have learned a lot. It's not always me and my consciousness. We should serve others also. That will be pleasing to the Lord. So we have improved in our consciousness a lot. If you yourself analyze, you have also improved. I'm sure you are giving nice classes. I heard. Hare Krishna. Okay, Pallav Prabhuji.
Mataji, just wanted to, expound more, maybe, if we can, on the question that Anandila Mataji had raised. On a practical perspective, of course, we can introspect, and look back and, it gives us a sense of measure of, yeah, that we are making progress, perhaps we are, getting to the samdarshana level, and treating others, better. But when it's the other way around, when you're on the receiving side, if let's say somebody were to bang into your car, or a robber were to be at your house, then that whole samdarshana concept goes out of the window, right?
No, I did not understand the last part you said, Prabhuji. The second view, yeah. What is that?
So I was saying, Mataji, when you're on the when on the other side, when you're on the receiving end, when let's say somebody bangs into your car, or some robber is at your house, trying to rob you and your family, and then the entire samdarshana concept, goes out of the window, right? At that particular point of time, it's very difficult to remind ourselves, that oh yeah, this person is also, a spirit soul, and all the money that he's taking from you, it's Krishna's property, etc., etc. Right?
That
So,
is the wrong. That is the wrong understanding. We have to call a police and put them in the bar. We have to do that. We cannot say, oh, it is Krishna's wish, he's robbing, he might be in a need. That is the wrong understanding. If he is doing wrong, he should get punished. He should get improved, basically. That is my motive.
fine. Maybe Mataji, robber is perhaps, grave of a, example. But something, as simple as, again, somebody banging into your car, right? At that particular point of time, you do end up seeing red, right? So,
Yeah, that's why it is said, we need seniors, we need counselors to guide. What should we do in that particular situation? How should we take? How should we act? And how should we ignore, or how should we, go and beg forgiveness? Or how should we take it, basically? So we need a personal counselor or senior who can see the situation, who knows the person whom you dealt with, or who know yourself, better. He can guide person. So answer is, case to case. It's different. But in general, association of devotees and taking guidance from the seniors, it will help, because they have the experience, the guru or the seniors, because they have seen the truth, or they are practicing more than me. In any case, dealing with devotees, raising our children, handling with our family relatives, whatever. So I feel there's a system, nice, counseling system. So that helps them to get the answer. One is the theoretical understanding, and this is a very high platform, what Kapil Dev is teaching, seeing with equal vision. How to see that is a long process. Slowly we evolve in our understanding, thinking, acting, dealing. So that we should do in association of devotees under the guidance of seniors. If it is possible, always under spiritual masters, in connection. And other senior devotees are also representative of spiritual masters. So with the seniors. Always. If something happens, and always happens, it always happens, when we do serve together, or things comes, ups and downs. So we need the guidance. Yeah, Pallav Prabhuji?
yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna. So 35 and 36 is the conclusion. I think we should read, no? 35, 36. Yes.
My dear mother, O daughter of Manu, a devotee who applies the science of devotional service and mystic yoga in this way can achieve the abode of the Supreme Person simply by the devotional service. Text number 36. This Purusha, whom the individual soul must approach, is the eternal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Brahman and Paramatma. He is the transcendental chief personality, and his activities are all spiritual.
Yeah. Thank you. So here it said, Kapil Dev concludes, I have described to you about Bhakti Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, and by practicing which a person can attain the Supreme Lord as Bhagwan or as impersonal Brahman, depending on which process you have either described it. So Bhagwan is telling, now beautiful thing in verse number 35, 36, we see, Purusham Vrajet. So this is the verse here. Here it is clearly stated, Purusha, Purusham Vrajet means the Purusha is here the living entity. Purusha means the controller. So here what is talking about the Purusha living entity goes to the Supreme Purusha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the quality of Purusha exists both in the Supreme Lord and the living entity. We are also little controller, Lord is the Supreme Controller. So in one sense, we are little Purusha, he is the original Purusha, Purusha means the enjoyer, and the spirit of enjoyment is present both in the living entity and in the Supreme Lord. The difference is in quantity. Quantity. We are very little enjoyer. I have my little house, I can keep things here, there, whatever I cook, I'm according to my choice. Little freedom, little enjoyment, I have. But Lord has unlimited. So difference is in the quantity. This is said. And the analogy here, Prabhupada says, rich man and a poor man. The propensity for enjoyment is present in both, the rich and poor both. But the poor man cannot enjoy in the same quantity as the rich man. But when the poor man dovetails his desire with those of the rich man, when there's a cooperation between rich and poor, then the enjoyment is shared. Example is given here. A driver, he drives the car, and the master is sitting behind him. So driver, because he is serving the master, he is also getting the benefit. What benefit? The AC is on. It's a nice, inside car, everything clean and all. He is not going in bus or something, all the dust and all is not coming. So he's enjoying. So a driver who is faithful enjoys as the master, in one sense. But still, the quantity is not the same exactly. So driver, same car, master also is sitting in the same one. And sometimes, master also eats something and he also provides him something on the journey. So that is the way we are also enjoyer, but little enjoyer. Lord is the supreme enjoyer. And if we connect ourselves with the Lord, then we also get access to the Lord's, it is said he enjoys the same facility or the same amount of pleasure as the Supreme Lord. So we get those qualities. I remember in Bhagavad Gita class once we were discussing, when we become one with the Lord, we get access to his qualities, his abode, his paraphernalia and everything. It is compared to this analogy, when a girl gets married to a boy, in one day, she gets access to his house, his things, his kitchen, his sofa and everything. Just a crude example, but the more and more we get connected to the Lord, we get access to these things. So when the living entity wants to enjoy by imitating the Supreme Lord, that I also want to enjoy like you, then he is put in Maya. But if he is cooperating with him, then he gets his abode, his other things also when the jiva cooperates with the Lord. So the different limbs of the body cannot enjoy life independently. Another analogy. The different limbs must cooperate with the whole body and supply food to the stomach. Then it will get its nourishment. And another example also gives us Yatha Taror Mula Nichetanena. By pouring water in the root, everybody gets their nourishment or satisfaction or enjoyment. So 35 and 36 is Kapil Dev concludes. Yes, let's read another one.
The time factor who causes the transformation of the various material manifestations is another feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone who does not know that the time is the same Supreme Personality is afraid of the time factor.
Yes, time. So this is another important thing. Time, Krishna says, Kalo Asmi, I am time. Those who does not understand, they are always in fear. The time factor who causes the transformation of various material elements or material manifestation. Whatever is matter, we see it gets deteriorated. You see one fruit, one flower, whatever, next day you come, it will get deteriorated. Or human beings, for that matter, or anybody, slowly, we dwindle and die. So time factor causes transformation. So this time factor is another feature of the Supreme Lord. Anyone who does not know that time is the same Supreme Personality is afraid of time. क्या होगा इसका result आएगा, यही मैंने किया, इसका क्या होगा? We are always afraid. Those who does not understand that it is the energy of the Lord itself. It is time is characteristics of time may we see. Those who does not know that time is the same Supreme Lord is afraid. So, as I said, in this canto, chapter number 10 and 11, there is a great detailed description of time, the characteristics of time, the divisions of time, the different calculations of yuga and manus and other things. So here also there is a description, but more on the thing of taking shelter, not the divisions, not the calculation, it minute, second, whatever, but taking shelter. So everything is changed and transformed by time factor. So it is said from this verse number 37 to 45 about we should be aware that this is this is the time is the factor, is the cause which is transforming everything. So let's read 38 also, then we discuss more.
Mataji, can I ask something?
Yes. There is a cause of fear for a person who does not know how time acts. Yes, ask, please ask.
Mataji, can you please give the examples? Like how to understand that I'm afraid if I think that my consciousness has come so low, I don't know why, but I'm thinking my morale is very low.
Mataji, you are very intelligent, because whatever
How
question
time will affect me, time factor will affect me, how I'm afraid of time. If you can tell the examples, it's not coming in my little intelligence.
I'm telling your questions you are very intelligent, because whatever questions you are asking, the answer is there in the next verse. So it is going to come. Yeah, so your thought process is nice, So you will see the answer and then you tell me whether you got it or not. Okay. So we might not see the change happening every moment. Like we see each other, we don't see the change happening. But when we see in some duration, some intervals, we see the change happen. I see after 2 years, oh, there's a difference. I see after 10 years, oh, you've grown up so much. Or I see something, some material, oh, it is getting faded, the paint, the cloth, whatever. So over the period of time, in some duration, we see the change is happening. So you will get the answer now. Okay, text number 38.
O Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the enjoyer of all sacrifices, is the time factor and the master of all masters. He enters everyone's heart, he is the support of everyone, and he causes every being to be annihilated by another.
This is explanation of how the Lord is the root cause. Lord is the time factor. Kalah Kalayatam Prabhu. He is the master of all the masters, and he enters in everyone's heart. Antah Pravishya Bhutani. In all the Bhutani, in all the living entities is entering, and he is support of it. So this is characteristics of time, basically. He causes every living being to be annihilated also. And he is the support of everything. Akhil Ashraya. So let's read 39 also.
No one is dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nor is anyone his enemy or friend, but he gives inspiration to those who have not forgotten him and destroys those who have.
Yes. Here is little clue. He gives inspiration to those who have not forgotten him and destroys those who have. So, there's a teacher in a class, he gives the same knowledge to everyone. Same PPT, same board, same classroom, same lesson, everything. But the different students get different marks. Some even fail. Some get highest, some even, don't get the passing marks also. So he gives inspiration to those who have not forgotten him, who remembers him, and destroys those who have. Sorry. And Kunti Maharani also says in his prayers, Vanne Twam Kalam Ishanam Anadim Nidanam Vibhum Samam Charantam Sarvatra Bhuta Nam Yanmitha Kali. So he says, she says, I consider you as the eternal time. Manye Tvam Kalam Ishanam, the Supreme Controller. Anadim Nidhanam Vibhum. You are the Supreme without beginning or without end. Means everything is working with this energy of your, the time factor. Even she says, in distributing your mercy, like the teacher's example, you are not partial. You give your mercy to everyone, but it is the receiver's end how much they take it. And if somebody gets some bad situation, somebody is getting good situation, it is because of their own karma, their own destiny, their own activities, what they have done. So you are just you give the inspiration to those who have forgotten and destroy those who have not. You give inspiration to those who have not forgotten and destroys those who have. So living being is enjoying or suffering because of his own karma. And time is the carrier of the result of his karma for everyone. So this does not mean that the Lord is someone's enemy and someone else's friend. He helps everyone who is not bewildered or who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord. And one who takes shelter, he will be saved from repeated birth and death. So basically, Kunti Maharani also says, Vishwavidama also says, and here also it is said, Maya creates this avaran, those who take shelter of Maya. But those who take shelter of Krishna, their avaran is removed, their covering is removed. They can see clearly because they have taken shelter of Krishna, which is light. So it's clear for them. So take 40 says, now everything is working in Lord's direction. Take 40 says, and further all verses, which we will read together to save our time. Let's read 40, 41, 42, 43 also together.
Out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the wind blows. Out of him, the sun shines. Out of fear of him, the rain pours forth showers. And out of fear of him, the host of the heavenly bodies shed their luster. Out of fear, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trees, creepers, herbs, and seasonal plants and flowers blossom and fructify, each in its own season. Out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the rivers flow, and the ocean never overflows. Out of fear of him, only does fire burn, and does the earth with its mountains not sink in the water of the universe. Subject to the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sky allows outer space to accommodate all the various planets which hold innumerable living entities. The total universal body expands with its 7 coverings under his supreme control.
Yeah.
44 also.
No, wait. So these verses 40, 41, 42, 43 also we read. So it says because of this fear, time is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because of the fear of the Supreme Lord, in the sense, here it is mentioned, everything is in order, everything works very systematically because of this fear. Due to the fear of the Supreme Lord, the wind blows and etc., and all the demigods basically performing their functions. So in the Ishwadev prayers also it is said, Manye Swam Kalam Ishanam, sorry, that was Kunti Maharani. Vishwadev says, Sarva Kalam Kritam Manye. When he was talking to Yudhishthira Maharaj, when he was lying in the bed of arrows, he said it is all happening by the influence of time, which is nothing but the Supreme Personality of God. So it is all happening by the will of the Lord. All this is due to inevitable time, under whose control every living entity, every planet, even the sun, it is said, out of fear of the sun, even sun also, they all are controlled by this Supreme Kal, Supreme Lord, in the form of time. So they work systematically. Everything, sun comes on time, all the planets are in motion, floating nicely, and So many stars are floating in space, and Prabhupada gives example. The material scientist explains that all these different planets are floating because of the law of gravity, but they don't know who made this law. Actual lawmaker is the Supreme Lord. So the material scientists can discover the laws, but they are actually they don't know that the lawmaker, the Supreme Lord, is there. When we know, we should take shelter. That is the point. Since they are floating under the energy of the Lord by His will, they do not fall. They are perfectly moving. So the point is, everybody is working out of fear of Him. The rains are pouring, shower, and everything. So 44, 45, let's go through it, and then we'll discuss something.
44. Out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the directing demigods in charge of the modes of material nature carry out the functions of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Everything animate and inanimate within this material world is under their control. Text 45. The eternal time factor has no beginning and no end. It is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the maker of the criminal world. It brings about the end of the phenomenal world. It carries on the work of creation by bringing one individual into existence from another. And likewise, it dissolves the universe by destroying even the Lord of Death, Yamaraj.
Yes. So, just as the government has many departments, so within this material world, the government of the Supreme Lord has many departments. And all these departments function nicely out of the fear of the Supreme Lord. So, the eternal time factor, as we already discussed 2 verses, one from Kunti Maharani and one from Bhishmadev, that it has no beginning and no end. And it influences the jiva who does not take shelter of the Supreme Lord. The jiva who does not take shelter of the Supreme Lord, the time influences them. Those who take shelter of the Supreme Lord, the karmas or the reactions of their karma does not work in their life. What happens in their life is the will of the Lord. This we discussed in the beginning, right? So therefore, they are not afraid. Wherever you put, whichever condition you put, it is will of the Lord. They reach to that level. So pure devotees, in pure devotees life, Draupadi, Pandava, Kunti Maharani, or Prahlad Maharaj, whatever is happening in their life, Rajvasis, it is the will of the Lord. So therefore, it is said the time is the carrier of your karmas for those who have not taken shelter. But for those who have taken shelter, basically it is the will of the Lord. That means they are not fearful. That means whatever is happening, they are accepting. It is not that because of their karma, they will get this body or at this place or that place. They are not worried. They are above that now. They have reached to that level of devotional service where they are not attached to things or place or people. They are attached to devotional service wherever Lord keeps. So therefore, they are not influenced by time in that sense. Of course, those are the devotees. They also, their body dwindle and they die. So how to understand that? So there is one word. I will just share that word. It will help us in understanding, which is 2:3:17. Yeah. This we already did in second canto. So, Ayurharti, somebody can recite the famous learning word.
Ayurharti Vaikunsan Udyan Ashtam Chayan Aso Tasya Te Yat Kasonita Uttam Shloka Vartaya.
Yes. Ayurharti Vaikunsan Udyan Ashtam Chayan Aso Tasya Te Yat Shanonita Uttam Shloka Vartaya. That means both by rising and setting of the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone. Every day we celebrate our birthday, but actually we are getting closer to death. By every day rising and setting, we are decreasing our duration of life. The sun decreases the duration of life of everyone except the one who utilizes the time by discussing the topics of all good personality of Godhead. Tasyete yat nita uttam shloka vartaye. Those who are discussing about this Uttam Shloka, about the personality of God as the Supreme Lord. And the purport says, it indirectly confirms the importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by doing devotional service. Time and tide wait for none. Chanakya Pandit said, one moment gone, you cannot purchase it by giving millions of dollars. So the time indicated by the sunrise and sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of our spiritual values, that means establishing our lost relationship. Even a fraction of duration of life wasted cannot be compensated. And a beautiful big purport which says that a devotee is not affected by this, a pure devotee, because he is out of this conception of me and mine. So wherever Lord puts, I'm happy. His will. So time carries the karma of a person who has not taken shelter, but at the same time, carries the will of the Lord who has taken shelter. That's very important. So Prabhupada writes here, it dissolves the universe by destroying even the Lord of Death. So everybody has this beginning and an end, even Yamaraj. By the influence of eternal time, the father begets a son, the father dies, the son becomes the father, and then he begets the son, and then that son who has become father, he dies. So this is the influence of time. But by time's influence, even the Lord of cruel death is killed. In other words, all the demigods within the material world are temporary like ourselves. So even though they have a big lifetime, but still they have a beginning and an end. So at the conclusion, Prabhupada says, a devotee desires only to serve the Lord, does not desire anything in the material world. Therefore, for him, the time does not have an influence. This is important, A devotee desires only to serve the Supreme Lord. This servitude exists eternally. The Lord exists eternally, and his servitor exists eternally. The service exists eternally. That means Bhagwan, Bhakt, and Bhakti, that stays eternally. The servitor, the servitude and service attitude, the Lord and the service. So that exists eternally. Bhagwan, Bhakt, and Bhakti. Therefore, we are not influenced by time. Prabhupada Leelamrit, we are reading these days. In the last year, 1977, Prabhupada is 80 plus, so body, of course, will get deteriorate. But his will is so strong, his preaching mood, his devotion, and his remembrance, and everything. So even if somebody comes and says, "Oh, how are you, Prabhupada? You must be having pain. Oh, this body." He said, "What is this? This is a body anyway. When the machine does not work, we try to fix it. But then if it still does not work, and it happens, then we get a new machine. So what is the big deal about it?" He is so clear. It is written in, Prabhupada Leelamrit in 1977 May, somewhere in May, and he left in November. So these last period of his time, he's so, his talks are so perfect. He's telling, what is this? When somebody is, showing sympathy, Prabhupada says, the body will leave, the soul will leave the body. So, but for the devotee, okay, in this body or in next body, he has to do his devotional practice. He has to serve the Supreme Lord. So Bhagwan, Bhakt and Bhakti never gets destroyed, are eternal. So, eternal dharma of the living entity one should know and serve to get this, to achieve his goal, to achieve his goal of Krishna Prem. So that and the explanation of devotional service given by Kapil Dev. There are further more questions which he has asked, which Kapil Dev will answer in the next chapter. So this is the end, talking about the time, not in detail about the divisions of time and calculation and all, but about how one should see and take shelter. That was the point. Yes. Now we can have some comments or questions. Thank you all very much for patiently listening and tolerating all these technical subject matters. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Yes. Anything somebody wants to add? We are 11 minutes late, but please forgive me. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Thank you
Anything?
so very much, Mataji, for the wonderful sessions. I want to ask one question. The same question. I got the answer, but sometimes it's good to ask the speaker so I can get more. So it's like, Mataji, if I'm afraid of time as Krishna, so do I need to afraid of this, or the verse you quoted at Uttam means if I'm doing the Harikatha, so this is like I'm utilizing my time the best. So this is the only thing, or do I need to fear of Krishna as time?
You should be fear of time in the sense when we are unnecessarily talking, or when we are unnecessarily watching WhatsApp or YouTube, which has no connection with our, increasing our bhakti and faith.
Mataji,
Then we should be
I do Indriya Tripti in Bhakti.
so that we should be aware of, thinking, Krishna is telling time I am. And if I'm losing this time, I will not get it again. So that fear should bring closer to Krishna. So that is true. In Bhakti also, we sometimes spend time here and there thinking that this is devotional practice. I am with devotees or I am in temple. But what you are doing, with what consciousness you are doing, it decides your advancement, how much closer you come to Krishna. So if you are aware, that every time is Krishna, so I have to use that properly, then only you are on the right path. So all this understanding, all these lessons should help us to utilize each and every moment, especially this human birth is extremely important. Extremely important. Every single moment you will not get it again. We think, we have 70 years more, 20 years more, 30 years more, a lot of time. But compared to eternity, it's very less. It's very less. So we should utilize every moment. Like Prabhupada, he never did anything for his sense gratification, whatever for service of the Lord. Preaching, writing, listening, hearing, talking, planning, purchasing the land, or, talking to lawyers or anything. He was 100%, utilizing all his time. And he said, till my last breath, I will keep utilizing all my energy to, in service of the Lord, in preaching, in serving. So last days, when people used to come and ask, which is a general thing, Prabhupada, how are you? Hope you are good. And how much pain you have? Prabhupada strictly said to the Maharaj Maharaj and Giriraj Maharaj, these questions should not be asked. It is so irrelevant question. Few times Prabhupada also said, I am not well. My body is not well. The nature of the body to deteriorate. So what is this question? How are you? So Prabhupada said, instead of having this question answered, better let me save my energy and put it in translation work. Because at the end he said, I have nothing more to say. Whatever I have to say, I have given it in my book. Please read that and follow that. When at last he went to Vrindavan, after the Rishikesh trip, he went to Rishikesh. Somebody suggested, your health will get better. So he went to Rishikesh. And then after staying 1 week there, the storm came and his health deteriorated. So he said, immediately take me to Vrindavan. So there was no train reservation or nothing, So they took him in the car. Prabhupada was sitting in the back seat, sometimes, putting leg up and so on. And slowly they took him in the car to Vrindavan, to Delhi and then Vrindavan. So once he reached there, there was, devotees welcoming and this and that. And then in the address lecture, he said that, I have nothing much to say more. He said about the cooperation thing, that whatever I have given you, please cooperate with everyone. Follow. That way you will please. And second thing he said, whatever I have to say is I have given in my book. So just read and follow the instructions. So he wants to save his time and energy in further, translating in something productive always. How are you? Yes, this is paining. Last night I had this, what we already spent. So we have to be aware of time. Time is precious, like that. So
Mataji,
when we are there,
sorry.
yes, yes.
Mataji, I think I spent so much time like in doing household work, like maintaining it. In maintenance, I spend so much time. It's like wastage of time. And I don't spend time much here and there. Of course, whatever little bit is needed, that only I do. But still, Mataji, I don't.
Yeah.
It takes lots of time just in maintaining. So nothing can be done for that now. I'm very slow by since childhood I'm very slow. So
There are two things in this. I also am in the same situation. So we have, I asked my seniors long back and they said, do the needful. We can't keep house dirty. And at the same time, we just keep decorating the house and do nothing else. So do the needful. Keep cleanliness also, because it is, we have deities at home. So it is Krishna's temple. So we have to keep it clean, and that's also service. So not as a work, but as a service, we do. We cook, we clean, we maintain, we put the groceries on place, we, do things on time. And clean time to time, the minute things also, so that the bugs don't come. Other things also, So do the needful, whatever is required as a service. Service attitude is more important. So that's what I can say. Yeah.
okay. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Rukmani, Hari Sevni, Mataji. This we have to do as a duty. If we think we can just do devotional service, yes, we are doing devotional service. This house maintaining is my duty. I have to, be with my family nicely, provide them all the things on time. That's my service. They have given me this service. So this is not something extra. This is required. Just take it in that mood.
Mataji, one more problem is first thing I'm slow. Secondly, I have a perfectionist thing. If I cook, I'll even cut the green chili even or coriander leaves even very properly, small. And whatever I do, if I wash anything, I do that very nicely. Except chanting and reading, I do everything very nicely. What is the whole to do? Somehow I'm not able to. I try, but I lack. Except that whatever I do, the clothes should be like, the cupboard should be like perfect. The perfect thing, how to come out of that, Mataji, and it takes so much time. So
See, I don't know, Rukmani Hariseri Mata, I don't know personally you. So there are two ways of seeing it. One thing is like positive way of looking at it is, yes, Maharaj says, whatever you do it, giving your heart. That means do it not just as a duty, but do it, perfect. And second extreme in a negative way is like you are so involved in organizing and maintaining those stuff that you forget the main goal. So that is two extremes. So I don't know personally what is your level, but I can give some examples to understand. When Mataji is there here, old person are used to some habits which is there, inbuilt in that. You cannot change that. So that Mataji, the nice family, children or devotees, but that Mataji has a habit of washing clothes while she takes bath and cleaning the bathroom and everything set while doing bathing. That's a good habit in one way. But in that way, she is getting late for the morning program. So it is suggested that you can wash your things and other things and this and that later. You just take bath and come out and go for morning. So here, in this case, she has to take a decision, take a call, which is more important. That habit is good, no doubt. But if it is losing your morning program and, just cleaning the things and drying it up and, washing it and putting here and there, then it's a lot of time basically, you should better go for Mangalarti or morning program and then do the stuff later. But it is a conditioning, So slowly by doing Bhakti, when she will realize the importance of that, it will go. But I'm just giving an example. So if it is our conditioning, because of that we are doing, then we have to improve. See, Ravana says, this is my Svabhava. Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse, everybody does Vaibhava Svabhava. So my Svabhava is to bring all the girls and enjoy. No, if Svabhava is not in line with the devotional practice, then we have to improve that. We have to overcome that. Take help of Shastra, of devotees, of, something which will help you to come out of that. So we should work according to our Svabhava, that's right. But if Svabhava is going against, you cannot say, oh, I'm lusty by Svabhava, I'll go with that. Anyway, Krishna said, one acts according to Svabhava only. But if it is not according to the scriptures, we should improve it. So you have to personally see how much it is in devotion. As Maharaj says, even if you are cutting vegetables, you should cut so nicely, every piece is equally. So that is good in that way. When you are offering it to the Lord, it is not small and big pieces and here and there. It should be cut nicely. Wow. Coriander also nice, small, looks so nice. So it is all in service, it's good. But if we have too much focus is there and other things getting, compensated or compromised, then we have to take a call. So that is the thing.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I wish you all good luck and we pray for each other that we, get free from these offenses and criticism, whatever mentality, and, become more and more absorbed in our services, in Krishna's pastimes and in working under Prabhupada. What was his mood, we should carry that. So let's pray for each other like that. And of course, we will all reach the goal because we are already there in the port. So we should not get out of it. We should not get out of the bus. Even if you are in bus standing, whatever, but you are in the bus, then you will reach the goal. So I have all good wishes for everyone. Thank you all very much. Thank you for engaging me and absorbing myself in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mataji, can you take one more question Jia Mataji has raised? I don't know, she wants to comment something or what?
Yes, please, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Mataji, मुझे एक क्वेश्चन पूछना है. जैसे वर्स नंबर 16 में आप प्रभुपाद जी पर्पट में लिखते हैं कि विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती कहते हैं कि अगर कोई वैष्णवा है और वो गुड कैरेक्टर का नहीं है तो वी शुड नॉट एसोसिएट विथ हिम. ठीक है, तो और आगे चल के बाद में प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं, मतलब आपने बताया कि अगर हम फॉल्ट फाइंडिंग करते हैं, हम भक्ति में नीचे गिर, हमारा फॉल डाउन हो जाएगा. तो आई मीन अगर ये कोई गुड कैरेक्टर का नहीं है ये भी जज करना, तो ये तो फॉल्ट फाइंडिंग ही हुई ना. मतलब फॉल्ट फाइंडिंग करना लाजमी है या नहीं है लाजमी, आई मीन अपनी उसके लिए. तो आप मुझे ये बताएं, थोड़ा ये क्लियर करें थोड़ी.
Yes. So you said verse number 16. Anyway, wherever it is said that we should avoid, right? That is the point. 16 verse, no? One should give up the, what is it? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, even if one is a Vaishnava, if he is not a good character, we should avoid his company. Yes. So if he is not of a good character, we cannot close our eyes and walk. While walking, we have to open our eyes. So while doing devotional practice also, we see people, how they are behaving, how they are talking, how they are, responding to seniors, how they are cooperating in services. We see. We have our active mind and senses. So in that thing, if we come to understand that his character is not good, or he is not following his superiors up to the mark, he says ill about somebody, or he does not follow what it is said, whatever it may be. Character not only means he is going with women, but anything. Not following the seniors also is not good character. Then we should not have his company, should be avoided. And in other part, it is said we should not discriminate. But as I said, we should have to walk with the open eyes. So open eyes means we see this devotee is not up to the mark. So I respect him, but at the same time, I keep distance till the time, he gets correction by Paramatma or by a senior devotee or somebody. And, I wish him good luck. I pray for him. Anandandavan Prabhuji, one of the senior devotees, says, pray. If you see some devotee, like this, stay distant, stay in a distance and pray for him that he gives the right direction. Krishna gives him the right direction and right understanding, and he grows. And whatever shortcomings I'm able to see, and because of that I'm keeping the distance, that shortcoming should also, go by Krishna's mercy. So that is the best. And Krishna will like you so much, and your advancement will be like this one. Because this is true for anybody who is criticizing us also. We should not feel bad about himself. We should pray for him. Because of some conditioning, some reasoning, some bad experiences, he's talking ill about myself. Krishna, please help him. So, our advancement is very fast if we pray for others. In general, we pray for everyone, but for those who have criticized us, this is, I've seen in senior devotees. This is a very good trick of fast advancement. Should not feel bad. मुझे क्यों नहीं सम्मान दिया, मुझे क्यों ऐसा बोला? No, should not feel bad, but on the contrary, we should pray for that person. That is the real compassion. And Krishna as a Paramatma will arrange. He will send somebody to correct, or he will, put him in that situation where he himself will feel guilty and get corrected, whatever, that is his job. But my job is to, at the moment, keep distance without any ill feeling. And, pray for him. Pray for him is another higher level. So keeping distance is a practical aspect, to save my own Shraddha, my own Bhakti, my own consciousness. Yeah, Mataji?
यस माताजी, जब आई मीन ऐसा जब फील भी होता है और हम डिस्टेंस रखने का प्रयास भी करते हैं ना, तो यही लगता है कि मतलब ये जो आपने प्रेयर की बात की वो भी होता है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं वो थॉट्स आते हैं, ये बुरा है, ये बुरा है, इसने बुरा किया है, ये बुरा है, मतलब ये थोड़ी माइंड में ख्याल आते हैं. तो मतलब एक तो है यस ये मेरी मेंटल हेल्थ के लिए और किसी भी चीज के लिए बंदा बेहतर नहीं है, और क्योंकि काफी ऐसी चीजें होती हैं, फॉल्ट फाइंडिंग, ये वो क्रिटिसिज्म मिला होता है उन डिवोटीज से, तो ये ऐसा होता है कि हाँ दूर ही रहें तो बेहतर ही है. लेकिन मतलब फिर भी एक ये चीज क्यों माइंड से नहीं जाती कि ये बुरा है.
I'll give an example, it will clear. एक सोपा डिसाइपल है फॉरेन में, and Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, he shared when he came last time to Pune, we had some discussion and he was sharing. Now he's in the tour, going to all different countries and all. So he went to this Prabhupada disciple's house and he saw a dog inside. He saw a dog inside the house. And now what we heard today and before, the dogs should be kept on the door. It should not be inside. So he had that feeling, little bit. Why is he a Prabhupada disciple and he's not following Prabhupada? What all we will think? Why this dog, he's going in the sofa here and there in bathroom and everywhere the dog is going. So when Prabhupada saw this, he did not say anything because Prabhupada disciple hai, so kuch bole nahi. But he little bit felt, foreign disciple hai, aisa chalta hai, something, whatever he must have thought. But while talking in detail, he came to know that this devotee, Prabhupada disciple, is old and he has some disease which, he gets fainted or something. And this dog is a trained dog who takes care, He sees this devotee and then he was trained to take an action, go out and bark or call or whatever, Then he understood then he said, see, with our limited mind, we think whatever, which is not in our control. But when he heard that this is the reason, because he get that, he's in this disease and he get that, he comes into that situation and that's why he has kept this dog. And he was a trained dog who will help him to notify, to give notice to others that, something emergency has happened. When he understood, he said, we should never judge anybody. This is an extreme example. But in our situation also, when we see other person doing, not behaving nicely, getting angry or not coming on time or anything, should understand. He's might be in some difficult situation. We should not judge. So we should just leave it for Krishna. Ourselves, we should be safe. Because if we start judging, then we are accumulating more and more karma ourselves, which is not favorable for our bhakti. And we are not we are not given that charge also. If somebody is superior, sometimes I give charge to my one new person and one old person. So I give the old person, the senior one, I give them, you please look after that girl, where she goes, whom she talks, because I'm worried about her. So when I'm given charge to somebody, then it's that person's duty to watch over some other person. But if not, then it's not our duty. So that is the case. ठीक है Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so very much.
Then pranam. Hare Krishna.